This dual perception of the sea permeates all of human culture, from myths about sea monsters to modern research on its impact on climate. As we continue to explore its depths, we realize that every new discovery merely opens the door to even greater mysteries.
For example, the secrets of deep-sea creatures like giant squids and bioluminescent jellyfish, which live at depths of around 1,000 meters, remain unsolved. They remind us that even in our highly developed world, there are still unknown wonders.
As you drift off to sleep under the sound of invisible waves, knowing that the ocean will keep your dreams safe, just as it keeps thousands of other secrets.
Research shows that the sounds of the sea can relax and soothe, immersing us in a deep and peaceful sleep. Good night.
During one of the most thrilling moments in the history of ocean exploration, two men, Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh, descended to the bottom of the Mariana Trench aboard the Bathyscaphe Trieste. Imagine them comfortably seated in the confined space of the cabin, a miniature room where every inch was meticulously planned for maximum efficiency. Around them 30 tons of water pressure, and beyond the porthole an endless darkness that seemed like the vast emptiness of space. The temperature of the surrounding water dropped to 0 degrees Celsius, and each of them felt the cold seeping through the thick walls of the bathyscaphe. The atmosphere was tense. They knew they were descending to a depth that no one had ever explored before. Outside their metallic shell, silence reigned, pressing on their ears, while the only sound reaching them was the soft hum of the mechanisms working in the enclosed space.
Each meter of descent was a true test. Their instruments showed how the pressure was increasing, how the invisible hands of the ocean were compressing their small capsule.
Inside, it was as dark as the deepest cave, with only the faint light of the instruments illuminating the control panel, reflecting the tense faces of the researchers.
When they reached a depth of 10,900 meters, Trieste stopped, and they became the first people to reach the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
But what was most astonishing was not just what they saw, but how it changed our understanding of the ocean's depths. Under their feet, a completely different world unfolded, woven from mysteries and secrets waiting to be discovered. Beyond their bathyscaphe, creatures existed that they could not even imagine, and this expedition opened the doors to the unknown. As soon as they began to explore this new realm, it became clear that in such dark and cold places, organisms could survive in conditions that humans considered impossible. The secrets of the ocean's depths are becoming increasingly intriguing, and each new fact they discovered only fueled the interest in those unexplored territories waiting for their discoverers. The Mariana Trench is not just the deepest point on Earth, but also a mystery that humanity has been trying to unravel for many decades. Its depth is approximately 10,900 meters, equivalent to the height of 28 Eiffel Towers stacked on top of each other. Located in the western part of the Pacific Ocean, between the Mariana Islands and Palau, it creates the impression of a deep wound on the planet's surface. The discovery of this trench occurred in 1861 when researcher John Murchison first measured its depth using a simple sounding device, but the real research began much later. The first detailed data on the Mariana Trench were collected during the Challenger expedition in 1881, when scientists began to realize that this place was not just a pit, but a whole ecosystem teeming with unique organisms. But what happens at such depths? The pressure there reaches incredible levels of 1,600 atmospheres, equivalent to the weight of around 30 cars per square centimetre.
To survive in such conditions, organisms have adapted to the point of impossibility. They lack a rigid structure, allowing them to withstand the colossal pressure. The temperature in the Mariana Trench fluctuates around 0 degrees Celsius, but this does not hinder life.
Imagine living creatures in these dark depths that resemble characters from horror movies. Glowing jellyfish, bizarre fish, and even giant amphipods the size of a chicken egg.
Research continues, and each new expedition reveals more shocking facts about its inhabitants. In 2014, a team led by director James Cameron made a historic descent into the depths of the Mariana Trench.
Cameron spent several hours on the bottom, collecting data that still spark debate among scientists. And the most incredible thing?
In the depths of the Mariana Trench, scientists found organisms that can survive on chemical substances, not sunlight, completely changing our understanding of the possibility of life in extreme conditions.
This trench remains for us an impregnable fortress of nature, hidden from human eyes, and each of its new secrets ignites an insatiable interest. The world ocean is not just a vast watery abyss, it is a true enigma that humanity has explored only by 30%. Imagine that, 30%. This means that 70% of the oceanic depths remain unknown to us.
To grasp the magnitude of this, consider that the surface of the moon has been explored by 96%. Yes, you heard it right. We know more about lunar craters and lunar mountains than about the dark depths of our own blue planet. Each year, around $30 billion are spent on ocean research, but even these colossal sums do not bring us closer to fully understanding the underwater world.
The ocean is not just water, it is ecosystems that can be 20 times more diverse than those on land. And this is where it gets really interesting. In the ocean's depths, there are creatures that even scientists find puzzling. For example, the ghostfish, which can be almost transparent, or the giant squid whose length can reach 12 meters. But the ocean's depths hide not only amazing species but also vast reserves of useful minerals, about which we know almost nothing.
Now imagine this. Underwater volcanoes can spew hot lava into the ocean, creating new ecosystems, and we can't even assess their impact on the climate. Nevertheless, underwater research continues to face challenges. For instance, underwater robots can only explore small areas, and their ability to operate at great depths is limited. And the most shocking thing, about 80% of the ocean has not been explored.
This means that we not only don't know what's happening there, but also don't even suspect what secrets the depths hold. Even with the available data, scientists suggest that there could be millions of species still undiscovered in the ocean.
Water can hide biomes that can survive in conditions unsuitable for life on land. For example, in hydrothermal vents where temperatures reach several hundred degrees, organisms that feed on hydrogen sulfide have been found. These organisms can revolutionize our understanding of life on Earth, and when we look at the stars, we have the opportunity to explore other planets, without forgetting that on our own planet there are many unexplored corners. So what else do these depths hide? Deep-sea ecosystems are astonishing not only for their diversity, but also for how life has adapted to conditions that seem entirely alien.
Imagine this. At depths exceeding 10 kilometers, pressure reaches nearly 1,000 atmospheres, a pressure so great that ordinary organisms would not survive. Yet in this abyssal darkness, where sunlight never penetrates, life finds a way.
Did you know that temperatures in these depths can drop to 0 degrees Celsius? These are conditions where survival requires extraordinary adaptations. Organisms develop hard shells and special proteins that prevent freezing. But that's not all.
To survive in these dark and cold waters, many organisms rely on chemical reactions, using hydrogen sulfide and methane as energy sources. This means that life here does not depend on light, but thrives on remarkable chemical processes that occur on the ocean floor. What's even more astonishing, some of these deep-sea creatures can exist without oxygen, relying on anaerobic processes for energy. It's as if we found life on another planet where air is not suitable for breathing. Moreover, in these ecosystems, organisms exhibit unique communication and interaction methods, using light signals to attract mates or repel predators. And here's where it gets truly mind-boggling. Many of these creatures can change their color and even glow in the dark, an incredible adaptation to life in absolute darkness. They use bioluminescence to attract prey or create illusions, distracting predators. But how do they do it? This is a secret that scientists are still trying to unravel.
Deep-sea ecosystems remain one of the last unexplored corners of our planet, and scientists continue to discover new species and survival mechanisms that challenge our understanding of life on Earth.
For example, recent research has shown that some organisms can survive in conditions where acidity is 30 times higher than normal. This makes us wonder, how many more mysteries are hidden in the depths of the oceans? Anglerfish, true wonders of nature, adapted to life in the absolute darkness of ocean depths. Their bioluminescent lure can glow as brightly as a lantern and serves not only to attract prey, but also as a means of orientation in the gloom. Imagine this, an anglerfish using this glowing bait up to 20 centimeters long to lure small fish that are unaware of the danger. When the prey approaches, the anglerfish's enormous mouth opens like in a horror movie, capturing prey that is larger than itself. No joke, as some individuals can swallow a fish twice their size. The internal mechanisms of digestion in these creatures are astonishing. They can break down even the toughest scales and bones thanks to special enzymes released during digestion. But that's not all. Male anglerfish are typically much smaller than females and are only a few centimeters in size. Do you know what happens when a male finds a female? He literally fuses with her, becoming part of her body, creating a unique symbiosis where the male becomes the source of sperm and the female the primary carrier. This is truly shocking, and such dimorphism is not commonly seen in the animal world. It's remarkable how such creatures as deep-sea anglerfish not only survive but also dominate in conditions where most other organisms would not be able to cope. The wonders of their adaptation to life in the dark make us wonder what other extraordinary mechanisms might be hidden in the depths of the ocean, waiting to be discovered. Giant squids, with their lengths reaching up to 14 meters, have served as symbols of the ocean's mysterious depths for centuries. These creatures, once considered marine myths, were first mentioned in historical texts in the 19th century, when sailors recounted encounters with monsters dragging ships to the bottom. The first scientific mentions of them appeared in 1869, when researcher Aloysius Stoker, author of Dracula, described a giant squid based on sailors' accounts. However, this was just the beginning of a long journey from marine legends to scientific recognition. The challenge in studying giant squids lay not only in their enormous size, but also in the inaccessible nature of their natural habitat. Oceanic depths hide these creatures at great depths where pressure exceeds 100 atmospheres and temperature approaches zero. To capture a giant squid on video, scientists faced significant difficulties. No camera could withstand such conditions until 2011, when a research team, using a specialized submersible, managed to film a live squid in its natural habitat. This moment marked a breakthrough in marine biology. A shot taken at a depth of around 900 meters revealed not only the majestic figure of the squid, but also its unique behaviors, previously known only from rare remains.
What's even more astonishing? Scientists suggest that giant squids can reach sizes of up to 20 meters, and their lives remain largely a mystery.
These enigmatic creatures possess hunting tactics that can be compared to an art form, and their eyes the size of a football can see in the dark like a true predator. Each new fact about giant squids unveils another layer of the ocean's mysteries, revealing even more fascinating discoveries about life beneath the waves. Hydrothermal vents, known as black smokers, are among the most mysterious and fascinating places on Earth, where life thrives in conditions that seem absolutely impossible. These underwater oases are formed due to the temperature difference between hot waters emerging from the Earth's interior and cold seawater. Imagine this: the temperature of the water in these vents can reach 300 degrees Celsius, and the pressure can be several hundred times greater than atmospheric pressure.
Mountains of sulfur, minerals, and other chemical compounds expelled from the Earth's depths create a unique habitat where organisms that do not depend on sunlight live. But how do they survive? The key is chemosynthesis. Bacteria living in these vents use chemical reactions that convert hydrogen sulfide into energy.
These microorganisms form the basis of the food chain in this ecosystem, attracting various animals such as giant tube worms, mollusks, and even crabs that can reach the size of a dog. It is interesting that these ecosystems can exist thousands of kilometers from the shore, where sunlight never penetrates, and yet they flourish due to these unique chemical processes. But that's not all. The discovery of black smokers has provided scientists with valuable information about how life can exist in extreme conditions, raising questions about the possibility of life on other planets. For example, on Jupiter's and Saturn's moons such as Europa and Enceladus, scientists hypothesize the existence of subglacial oceans where similar hydrothermal vents may also exist. This discovery underscores that life can emerge in the most unexpected places, and the possibilities for its existence in the cosmos are much broader than we can imagine.
In black smokers, bacteria have been found that can survive at high temperatures and pressures, and their study may lead to new technologies and methods for searching for exoplanets where similar hydrothermal vents may exist.
These research not only unravel the mysteries of Earth, but also open new horizons for astrobiology. But did you know that some of these microorganisms can survive temperatures above 400 degrees Celsius? Imagine an ocean as an immense abyss where an invisible river flows beneath the surface, slowly moving trillions of tons of water.
These deep currents, known as thermohaline, act like gigantic conveyors, transporting cold and warm water and regulating climatic conditions across the entire planet. Did you know that a single drop of water entering these currents can travel for thousands of years before returning to the surface?
While they move water, they also influence weather patterns, creating conditions for the formation of hurricanes and cyclones. Water at depth is rich in carbon dioxide and nutrients, which rise to the surface, sustaining life in the oceans.
But that's not all. If these currents stopped, the average temperature on Earth could rise by several degrees, leading to catastrophic consequences for all life.
For instance, they maintain the stability of temperature in high latitudes where polar ice caps depend on the warmth received from warmer waters. Now, imagine that these hidden rivers can change their speed and direction depending on changes in the atmosphere and surface ocean temperature.
Moreover, scientists have calculated that even small changes in salinity or temperature can have global consequences, as these currents can slow down or speed up, affecting the entire climate balance. How are they formed?
It all starts with the difference in water density determined by temperature and salinity. And the most fascinating thing? In some places, these underwater currents can reach speeds of up to 7 kilometers per hour, comparable to fast-moving cars. These oceanic rivers move silently, unnoticed by us, but their influence is felt in every corner of the Earth.
For example, according to research, more than 70% of the carbon dioxide produced by humanity is absorbed by oceans, and this happens due to the complex mechanisms inherent in these currents.
Imagine that it is precisely these currents that allow us to breathe fresh air, and marine life thrives in those parts of the ocean where otherwise there would be emptiness. Each second in these depths is a struggle for survival and harmony that supports the ecosystem of the planet. And did you know that a single such river can transport as much energy as all the world's power plants combined over several years? The Gulf Stream is not just a current, but a mighty river in the ocean, stretching over 3,000 kilometers, originating in the Gulf of Mexico and swiftly flowing through the Atlantic Ocean towards Europe. Imagine a powerful flow of water carrying heat, making Europe's climate significantly milder than in other regions at the same latitude. The water temperature in the Gulf Stream can reach 30 degrees Celsius, comparable to the temperature of a hot shower. This warm current moves at speeds up to 5 kilometers per hour, transporting enormous volumes of water, around 30 million cubic meters per second. This is more than all the rivers in the world combined. But that's not the most fascinating part. Changes in the Gulf Stream can lead to catastrophic consequences for Europe's climate. Scientists propose theories about a possible weakening of this current, which could be caused by global warming. What do you think would happen if the Gulf Stream changed direction? It could result in a sudden cooling in northern Europe while temperatures rise in other parts of the world. According to research conducted in 2015, even small changes in ocean temperature can cause significant shifts in its current. Models suggest that the Gulf Stream could weaken by 30% by the end of the century. Have you ever thought about how this would affect the weather in countries like the United Kingdom or Norway? These regions could experience winters reminiscent of the northern latitudes, like in Canada or even Siberia.
Research indicates that a change in the Gulf Stream could potentially cause a sharp rise in sea level, leading to the flooding of coastal areas. Did you know that in the early 19th century, researchers were already talking about the Gulf Stream? In the 18th century, sailors used it for quick travel between America and Europe. One sailor, Benjamin Franklin, even created the first map of this current in 1762. His work not only helped with navigation but also opened eyes to the importance of ocean currents for climate.
But that's not all. The Gulf Stream also influences ecosystems, supporting the life of numerous marine creatures. This flow creates conditions for the reproduction of fish and other marine organisms, making it a key element of the fishing industry. Imagine the Gulf Stream moving through the Atlantic Ocean, not only changing the climate but also the lives of millions of people. What if it started moving in another direction?
Thoughts about this can be shocking. Scientists warn of potential consequences that could affect entire continents.
It's interesting that the Gulf Stream is part of a larger system of ocean currents known as the Global Conveyor Belt, which regulates climate on the entire planet. If you thought the Gulf Stream only moves water, you are deeply mistaken. It actually controls climatic conditions that affect our daily lives and the well-being of humanity. The deep ocean current of the Southern Ocean around Antarctica is one of the most powerful and significant currents on the planet, covering more than 32 million square kilometers. Known as the Antarctic Circumpolar Current, it moves at speeds up to 100 kilometers per day and plays a crucial role in the global system of oceanic circulation. Did you know that this current connects all the oceans, creating a unified ecosystem that regulates climatic conditions worldwide?
Water moving in this current absorbs a tremendous amount of carbon dioxide, making it a vital participant in the global carbon cycle.
This ability to absorb carbon dioxide reaches 6 billion tons annually, equivalent to the emissions from 30 million cars. But that's not the most fascinating part. The water in the Southern Ocean has unique physical properties. It is cold, salty, and rich in oxygen, which supports the high productivity of the marine ecosystem.
For instance, this ocean is home to giants like turtles and seals, as well as numerous krill species, which serve as the primary food source for many marine animals. But what if this current starts to change?
Scientists have already observed changes in its intensity, which could lead to catastrophic consequences.
For example, changes in water temperature could affect the amount of carbon dioxide the ocean absorbs, which in turn could increase the concentration of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere.
This could trigger a chain reaction, affecting climatic conditions in various regions of the world. If you thought that climate change only affects the land, you are mistaken. Oceans, including the Southern Ocean, play no less an important role. Studies show that over the past 20 years, the surface temperature of the ocean has risen by 1 degree Celsius, meaning that ice caps are melting faster than ever. This leads not only to sea level rise but also to changes in current patterns, which could result in even more unpredictable climatic conditions. And the most shocking part?
If the rate of change remains the same, we could face a situation where the Southern Ocean current completely changes its trajectory, leading to catastrophic consequences for the entire planet.
But this is not just a theory. Research shows that changes in circulation can affect weather conditions even in remote places like Europe and North America. The Bermuda Triangle is a mysterious geographical area bounded by points in Miami, the Bermuda Islands, and Puerto Rico.
This region, which covers approximately 1 million square kilometers, has long captivated the attention of both scientists and enthusiasts of the paranormal.
A vast number of ships and aircraft have disappeared here under mysterious circumstances, with the total number of such incidents exceeding 200. What do you think could be happening in this place to cause such a large number of transportation vehicles to simply vanish? Surrounded by myths and legends, the Bermuda Triangle has become the subject of numerous studies and speculations.
Some scientists claim that this could be related to unusual natural phenomena, such as underwater volcanoes or strong currents that can drag ships to the bottom.
But that's not all. According to some data, this area experiences frequent magnetic anomalies that can disrupt navigation systems. Do you know that this is precisely why many pilots and sailors report strange malfunctions in their instruments? Isn't it intriguing? It's no wonder that the Bermuda Triangle has become a hotspot for researchers eager to unravel its mysteries. The turbulent sea and changeable weather conditions only enhance the atmosphere of uncertainty, and this creates a sense that there is something more to this area than just natural phenomena. Some theories even suggest that a submerged civilization may have existed here, whose technologies could explain the strange occurrences. Around the Bermuda Triangle, a true culture of fear and admiration has developed, giving birth to new myths and stories. But that's not the most peculiar thing. Many researchers assert that this region is home to numerous underwater peaks and reefs that can cause disasters. What's even more astonishing is that over the past 100 years, the number of recorded disappearances has been remarkably high and continues to grow. Do you know what's even more shocking? In this area, there have been cases where aircraft have vanished without a trace, leaving behind only emptiness. This enigma continues to challenge not only the scientific community, but also all those who love to delve into the unknown. On the night of December 15, 1945, 5 torpedo bombers from Squadron 19 embarked on a training flight over the Bermuda Triangle. These aircraft, known as TBM Avenger, were armed for combat missions, but this time their mission was peaceful. The pilots, mostly young and inexperienced, followed the designated route, but their radio communications suddenly ceased.
In the final message, one of the pilots reported strange circumstances. "We are losing our bearings. We can't figure out where we are." This statement foreshadowed disaster, as soon after that, contact with Squadron 19 was completely lost.
The communications operator at the base in Fort Lauderdale, Frank Clay, was shocked when he heard the pilot's last words. Searches began immediately. Both military and civilian vessels and even aircraft were involved in the search operation, covering vast areas of the ocean. Around 100 aircraft and dozens of ships searched for the missing torpedo bombers, but their traces disappeared, as if they were swallowed by the waters. Interestingly, at the same time, unusual meteorological phenomena were observed in the area, strange clouds and neon-like luminescence.
Meteorologists could not explain these phenomena, and some even suggested that they might be connected to the disappearance. The searches continued for several days, but all efforts were in vain. None of the aircraft were found.
Meanwhile, rumors about paranormal phenomena related to the Bermuda Triangle began to spread in the area, further fueling interest in this mystery. The next day, December 16th, during the search, one of the rescue aircraft also reported navigation problems but managed to return to the base. What happened to Squadron 19? No one ever found out. Later, in 1966, researchers found several fragments that could belong to the lost aircraft, but the exact location of their crashes was never determined. The strange circumstances of the disappearance of these torpedo bombers will forever remain a part of history.
In this area, more than 100 cases of missing ships and aircraft have been registered, each adding a new page to the legend of the Bermuda Triangle, which continues to attract the attention of scientists and adventurers.
The ship Cyclops, which disappeared in March 1918, was a true giant of its time. Its length was 280 meters, comparable to the length of 3 football fields. On board were more than 300 people, including the crew and passengers, making its disappearance even more mysterious. The last time Cyclops was seen was in the vicinity of the Bermuda Triangle, but no distress signals or reports of problems were received. How could this have happened? This led to numerous speculations and theories. Some claim that the ship collided with a powerful storm, which could have caused its rapid sinking. Others suggest that Cyclops was attacked by a submarine, which was quite possible during the conditions of World War One.
But there are also more exotic versions. For example, some point to the possible involvement of extraterrestrial forces or even anomalies occurring in the Bermuda Triangle itself.
Considering the size and cargo capacity of Cyclops, which could transport more than 8,000 tons of coal, its disappearance without a trace raises many questions. Why were no wreckage or traces found that could indicate its fate?
Such mysteries attract the attention not only of researchers but also of enthusiasts of the unknown.
This story remains one of the most intriguing in maritime history, and the most shocking thing is that search operations did not even provide a hint of its location. As a result of this disappearance, the Bermuda Triangle continues to stir the minds, leaving behind a trail of unsolved mysteries. And do you know that over the past 100 years, more than 6,000 ships have disappeared in this area? Few people are aware that the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle hides vast reserves of methane capable of causing genuine underwater catastrophes.
Research indicates that methane hydrates located at depths of up to 2,000 meters can suddenly release, forming giant bubbles that rise to the surface and disrupt the water structure.
This leads to a rapid decrease in the buoyancy of ships, causing them to sink. But this is not the most peculiar aspect. There are also magnetic field anomalies that can confuse navigational instruments.
In this area, the magnetic field behaves erratically. It can change by several degrees over just a few kilometers.
Scientific research conducted in 2012 showed that these anomalies could be linked to the geological features of the seafloor and the location of underwater mountain ranges. And here is where things get truly bizarre. Imagine that the weather in this region can change at an astonishing speed. Hurricanes and tropical storms can appear out of nowhere, leaving destruction in their wake. For instance, Hurricane Andrew in 1992 struck the coast of Florida with winds reaching 150 kilometers per hour. But what is even more shocking? Human error plays a significant role in the disappearances.
Research shows that many sailors passing through this mysterious triangle have encountered human errors, incorrect calculations, and even panic on board.
Some ships set sail with insufficient fuel supplies, while others ignored warnings about bad weather. For example, in 1983 the ship Blue Horse vanished without a trace, despite its captain being an experienced seafarer.
And finally, in this region, mysterious disappearances continue to be observed, confirming that the Bermuda Triangle hides much more than we can imagine.
As a result, the ocean depths may contain not only ships, but also secrets that humanity has yet to unravel. The Sea Devil, or Dragon's Hole, is a mystical oceanic phenomenon that evokes both awe and curiosity among people worldwide. Imagine a powerful whirlpool capable of capturing ships and even large objects, as if they were as light as feathers. Such whirlpools can reach a diameter of 10 meters and generate a force that can drag anything into the depths.
Most often, they form as a result of the interaction between powerful ocean currents and the seabed, creating conditions where water begins to rotate at terrifying speeds. It is known that in some cases, the speed of rotation can exceed 30 kilometers per hour, making it dangerous for any objects that enter its area of influence.
Legends and tales of sea devils permeate many cultures, from Polynesian to Scandinavian. For instance, some folktales speak of sea monsters guarding their underwater kingdoms, pulling in disobedient sailors.
But that's not all. In Japanese mythology, there is a legend of the Riku of Madness, which describes a whirlpool capable of swallowing not only ships but also human souls. Interestingly, for centuries, sailors have created maps marking places where such whirlpools were believed to exist to avoid them. These places were often called Devil Islands, and such warnings were passed down through generations. But did you know that in some parts of the world, such whirlpools can suddenly appear, even on calm days? This is due to changes in atmospheric pressure and tidal forces that can quickly activate underwater currents.
Local fishermen often tell stories of how their boats were suddenly caught in the grip of a raging whirlpool, and the only way to save themselves was to steer the boat in the direction of the current. These mysterious phenomena continue to attract the attention of researchers and scientists who strive to unravel the secrets hidden in the depths of the oceans. And what is most fascinating, recent technologies allow scientists to study underwater whirlpools using underwater drones that can record data on the speed and direction of currents, opening new horizons for understanding these enigmatic natural phenomena.
Maelstrom, one of the most famous whirlpools in the world, is located between the islands of the Lofoten archipelago on the northern coast of Norway, and its dimensions are breathtaking. Its diameter exceeds 1.5 kilometers.
This natural phenomenon is formed as a result of the complex interaction of powerful tides and the characteristics of the underwater topography, making it particularly dangerous for ships trying to cross its waters. The speed of the current in this whirlpool can reach 30 kilometers per hour, creating powerful vortices and unstable conditions on the surface.
Maelstrom is active throughout the year, with the greatest intensity during high tides when the water level rises and falls sharply, instilling fear in sailors and attracting the attention of researchers.
But there's more to it. Maelstrom has not only been the subject of literary inspiration, but also a source of numerous myths and legends.
Edgar Allan Poe in his story Maelstrom describes how the main character is drawn into the abyss, creating an atmosphere of horror and mystery that reflects the real danger of this whirlpool. Jules Verne in his novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea also mentions Maelstrom, using it as a symbol of the unyielding power of nature, which even the most modern ship cannot overcome.
It's no wonder that this whirlpool has become the subject of many tales and legends. Now imagine that each tide can give rise to other whirlpools, similar to Maelstrom, located in different parts of the world, but with varying intensity and forms.
Some of them even have their own names and are considered just as dangerous as Maelstrom. Just a glance at these rotating waters can evoke a sense of awe, but do you know that in some cultures, Maelstrom was believed to be the entrance to another world?
The Naruto Whirlpool in Japan is a genuine natural anomaly that occurs in a narrow strait between the islands of Awaji and Shikoku, where the strait is only 300 meters wide. Imagine a vortex forming in this narrow space, reaching a diameter of up to 30 meters and capable of generating currents up to 20 kilometers per hour. This means that in a short period of time the whirlpool can suck in objects weighing up to 200 tons.
Remarkably, its power is significantly enhanced during lunar cycles. During full moons and new moons, the vortex exhibits its strength most vividly, as tides raise the water level, creating ideal conditions for the formation of these powerful water spirals. It is hard to imagine how this natural phenomenon, appearing and disappearing, captivates local residents and tourists, serving not only as a subject of research but also as an important part of Japanese culture.
In ancient times, the Naruto Whirlpool was considered a place where spirits dwelled, and locals believed it could be a portal to another world. Rituals honoring the spirits of the whirlpool were performed in the vicinity, where people prayed for safety at sea.
Today, Naruto has become a popular tourist destination. Thousands of tourists visit each year to see this natural wonder with their own eyes. Many of them even participate in boat tours that pass through the whirlpool, experiencing its full force. Did you know that on certain days, when the whirlpool is particularly strong, it can create solid water columns up to 10 meters high? In these unique conditions, even marine creatures like fish and mollusks become part of the spectacle, as water currents lift them to the surface, creating an unforgettable effect. Modern technology allows for highly accurate predictions of the whirlpool's appearance, attracting even more people.
But the most intriguing aspect is that the Naruto Whirlpool is not just a natural phenomenon, it is a true arena for scientific research. Scientists study it to better understand the dynamics of ocean currents and the influence of the moon on marine ecosystems.
Did you know that several underwater springs located near the whirlpool create additional vortices and also attract the attention of researchers?
The Saltstraumen in Norway is not just a natural phenomenon, but the most powerful tidal current in the world, reaching speeds of up to 32 kilometers per hour. Imagine the immense movement of water in a narrow strait just 300 meters wide. This whirlpool forms between the islands of Møn and Værø, connecting two fjords, Saltfjord and Fellsfjord. Every day, twice a day, the current changes direction, creating unique conditions for marine life.
But that's not all. The difference in water levels between the two fjords can reach 7 meters, resulting in a spectacular water show as water rushes in one direction and then, as if on command, changes course.
This rhythm of tides and ebbs not only creates powerful whirlpools but also forms a rich ecosystem. In these turbulent waters, fish such as cod, herring, and flounder thrive, drawn by the nutrients washed out from the depths. Moreover, local fishermen know that the Saltstraumen is the place to catch the largest specimens, as entire schools of fish gather here. It is also worth noting that this area is home to a large number of marine mammals, including seals and even sperm whales, which come here in search of food. Thanks to this unique natural phenomenon, the Saltstraumen has become not only a subject of study for scientists but also a popular tourist destination, attracting adventure seekers and nature enthusiasts.
Did you know that during high tide, the current can be so strong that it creates waves up to 4 meters high?
This makes the Saltstraumen not only an interesting place for fishing but also potentially dangerous for small boats and divers, who must be cautious. Each year, thousands of tourists come to witness this natural wonder firsthand and experience its power.
What is truly remarkable is that despite its immense power, the whirlpool maintains its ecosystem and helps sustain the balance of marine life, creating conditions for the reproduction and growth of various species.
Sunken cities and entire civilizations, hidden beneath the water's surface, evoke an unimaginable interest, and sometimes even awe. Imagine, these settlements were once teeming with life, bustling markets and crowded streets, but now they lie at the bottom of bodies of water, like forgotten secrets. Around the world, archaeologists and researchers dive into these mysterious places to uncover amazing artifacts that can reveal the culture and way of life of the people who once lived there. But what is truly shocking is that many of these cities perished as a result of disasters such as earthquakes or floods, forever altering the landscape.
For example, over the past 300 years, more than 100 earthquakes have reduced entire regions to ruins, leaving behind only myths and legends.
Some of these submerged civilizations could have been more advanced than we can imagine, with irrigation systems or complex architectural solutions that would be challenging to reproduce with modern technology.
Research shows that underwater archaeological finds can be 3 times more informative about ancient cultures than their surface counterparts.
As soon as scientists begin to explore the depths of the ocean, they discover not only building materials but also everyday items that provide insights into the social and economic structure of these societies. Now imagine that these submerged cities could have housed libraries with books that will never see the light of day. In some cases, archaeologists find not only shards of pottery but also entire statues preserved due to the lack of oxygen at the bottom. This means we may be on the brink of extraordinary discoveries that will rewrite our understanding of history. And the most intriguing part is that some of these submerged places may hide technologies that were lost to humanity. For instance, in the 20th century, submerged cities were discovered with mechanisms that could change our understanding of ancient sciences and engineering. By the way, did you know that some of these submerged settlements are older than 3,000 years? This opens up incredible possibilities for archaeologists who strive to unravel the mysteries of the past hidden beneath the water. In a world full of mysteries and enigmas, underwater excavations can become a true key to understanding how our ancestors lived and what truly happened on Earth. Sunken city of Pavlopetri off the coast of Greece is a true treasure trove of ancient history, submerged at a depth of about 4 meters. Imagine streets that are nearly 5,000 years old, preserving their layout and distinct outlines, allowing archaeologists to reconstruct the lives of its inhabitants. The city was discovered in 1966, and since then scientists have unearthed numerous buildings, including residential homes, public squares, and possibly even temples. One of the most remarkable features is the presence of right-angled streets, indicating a well-planned urban layout reminiscent of modern cities.
Deep-sea research has shown that many buildings have retained their walls and even some interior elements, such as ceramic vessels used in daily life.
Artifacts include pottery, tools, and even jewelry, attesting to a high level of craftsmanship and skill. But how did this city end up underwater? There are various theories. Some scientists believe that powerful earthquakes damaged the coastline and caused buildings to collapse. Others point to a gradual rise in sea level due to climate change, which could have submerged the city over several centuries.
Research indicates that the sea level in this region has risen by several meters over the past 5,000 years, potentially playing a decisive role in the fate of Pavlopetri.
What is truly intriguing is how the city's inhabitants adapted to their environment. Perhaps they were already aware of the proximity of the sea and utilized its resources, but what happened to them after the city was submerged? These questions remain unanswered and continue to captivate historians and archaeologists who continue to study this mysterious place. Each new artifact discovered on the seabed opens new horizons for understanding life in ancient times, where people may have already known about the changes to come in their world. The underwater city of Yonaguni off the coast of Japan is the subject of heated debate among scientists and researchers. It is believed to be over 300 meters long and nearly 100 meters wide.
This site draws attention due to its sharp angles and stepped structures that resemble human-made constructions. Proponents of the theory that it is man-made point to the straight lines and symmetrical platforms visible on the ocean floor, arguing that these cannot be the result of natural erosion.
They cite the presence of stair-like structures that clearly appear to be artificially carved stones, suggesting that this could be the remnants of an ancient civilization that once thrived in this region. For instance, one of the most compelling arguments for this theory is the presence of large blocks arranged in terraces, creating the impression of a multi-level structure. What makes this even more intriguing is that some researchers claim to have seen carvings resembling animals on one of the stone blocks, further indicating human intervention. However, opponents of the theory of human-made origins argue that all these forms can be explained by natural geological processes.
Geologists point to data showing that similar formations can arise from the action of waves, currents, and erosion on underwater rocks over thousands of years.
For example, they mention that similar structures can be found in other places, such as the coast of Scotland or even in the Caribbean Sea. What is even more astonishing is that some experts believe that tectonic processes in this region could have contributed to the formation of such structures. This raises the question of how stable these structures are and what might happen to them in the future. There are even studies suggesting that the underwater lands of Yonaguni could be subject to changes due to plate movements, which could lead to the destruction of these mysterious formations. However, it is important to note that every year thousands of divers and tourists come here to see this enigma with their own eyes, and many of them return with incredible stories of their underwater adventures. At a depth of about 8 meters, various elements are found that are believed to be part of this underwater civilization, such as projections and stone platforms, but their true origin remains a subject of debate. It is also worth noting that recent research indicates that local legends about sunken cities may have roots in real events, creating a complex and captivating web of stories that remain unexplored. Heracleion, also known as Phonis, became a treasure trove for archaeologists after its discovery in the early 2000s. Imagine this. Beneath the water surface lie temples, grand statues of pharaohs and gods, and sunken ships that tell the story of life in ancient Egypt.
Research conducted by a team of underwater archaeologists led by Francois Giraud has led to sensational findings. Ruins discovered at a depth of over 7 meters were once part of one of the most significant ports of the ancient world.
But what is truly shocking is that the city contained temples dedicated to deities such as Amon and Isis, and statues up to 3 meters tall that have been preserved due to unique underwater conditions.
Did you know that the massive pharaoh statues were made of limestone and granite, and their details have remained virtually untouched?
And this is where it gets even more fascinating. The sunken ships found on the seabed contained a variety of artifacts, including pottery and everyday items, giving us insight into trade routes and the economy of the time.
But what happened to Heracleion? There are numerous theories, and one of them suggests that the city sank due to natural disasters such as earthquakes or tsunamis.
However, another version proposes that human activity and improper management of water resources may have been the catalysts of the catastrophe. What is truly mind-blowing is that according to recent research, part of the city could have been flooded as early as the 3rd century AD. This challenges our understanding of how quickly coastal lines could change. Now imagine that there may still be forgotten monuments and artifacts hidden underwater, waiting to be discovered. Despite its fate, Heracleion continues to attract the attention of scientists and researchers, as each new underwater expedition project brings new discoveries and mysteries yet to be solved. One of the most intriguing facts is that this site was once a bustling market where goods were exchanged from all around the Mediterranean. Submerged ruins of Dwaraka on the coast of India are an archaeological sensation. Their age is estimated to be around 9,000 years. Remarkably, this suggests a connection to the legendary city mentioned in the epic Mahabharata, where, according to myths, the god Krishna lived. It is believed that this was the site of a brilliant and prosperous city, surrounded by high walls and magnificent temples. Archaeologists studying these ruins have discovered a network of streets and buildings that appear to have been planned with precision comparable to modern urban layouts.
For instance, they have found clear geometric shapes and straight lines indicating a high level of architectural skill, possibly exceeding that seen in other ancient civilizations.
But this is not the most astonishing discovery. Among the finds were stone blocks weighing up to 4 tons, perfectly fitted together, as if created with modern technology. What is even more shocking? In some places, scientists found remnants of complex water supply and drainage systems that operated more efficiently than many modern systems. This challenges our traditional chronology of urban civilization development, as the existence of such a highly organized society 9,000 years ago could change our understanding of early human settlements. Scientists believe this discovery opens new horizons for understanding how ancient societies developed and may indicate the existence of highly advanced cultures long before the emergence of known historical civilizations, such as the Sumerians or Egyptians. The most significant finds were made 2,000 meters from the modern coastline, raising questions about how the sea level has changed over millennia. And the most intriguing aspect, researchers continue to find artifacts that may suggest trade links with other ancient cultures, such as the Harappan civilization. This discovery could not only change our understanding of Dwaraka, but also the entire history of the Indian subcontinent, as it raises more questions about how exactly trade links between different cultures developed in ancient times. Sunken ships are not just mere wrecks, but actual underwater museums that preserve silent testimonies of the past. Imagine these vessels, resting at the bottom of the ocean, becoming temporary capsules that have kept their secrets intact thanks to unique conditions of the aquatic environment: low temperatures, lack of light, and minimal oxygen exposure. These factors contribute to the preservation of wooden structures, metallic parts, and even personal belongings left on board. Archaeologists and historians diving into these underwater worlds encounter unique artifacts that can reveal insights into human life, shipbuilding techniques, the goods they transported, and the technologies they used. For instance, some ships that sank in the 30th century may uncover secrets of ancient navigation methods that predated modern technologies. But what is truly astonishing is that on the depths where absolute silence reigns, these ships become homes to a multitude of marine organisms. Fish, mollusks, and corals inhabit their hulls, transforming the wrecked ships into ecosystems that, in turn, become objects of study for scientists. These underwater archaeological excavations can provide insights not only into maritime history but also into cultural exchanges between various peoples.
For example, ships that carried spices from India to Europe can explain how trade reshaped political landscapes and influences on continents.
And here is where it gets truly fascinating. Some researchers claim that sunken ships can serve as valuable resources for studying climate change, as they may contain data on marine conditions from centuries before our era. What is even more astonishing? Some of them have preserved items that can change our understanding of historical events, such as letters or maps that show how the world looked through the eyes of those who lived many centuries ago. These discoveries can be true treasures if properly studied, capable of shedding light on epochs about which we know only fragmentary facts. For instance, in one of the sunken ships, remnants of food were found, allowing scientists to reconstruct the menu of sailors, providing a unique insight into the eating habits of people of that time.
In each sunken ship that archaeologists explore, there are stories waiting to be told. And the most incredible thing, some of these underwater museums can be found at depths of just 30 meters, making them accessible for research and study. The sunken Titanic lies on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean at a depth of 1,320 meters, evoking both horror and awe.
The ship, once a symbol of luxury and progress, is now encased in a hard layer of rust, with its steel structures crumbling under the influence of bacteria that feed on iron. These microorganisms, known as bacterial rust, transform the metal into a loose mass, causing the Titanic to lose around 30 centimeters of its length each year.
But this is not the most peculiar thing. In the marine environment, corals and other organisms form new ecosystems on its wreckage, creating a unique underwater community.
On September 18, 1985, Robert Ballard and his team made a shocking discovery, locating the Titanic using the deep-sea submersible Alvin. This discovery was a sensation and opened new horizons for the study of underwater archaeology. Since then, expeditions to the wreck site have been conducted numerous times. In 1991, researchers found personal belongings of passengers, such as shoes and letters, which have been preserved due to the cold water and pressure. These findings not only shed light on the final moments of those on board, but also raise acute ethical questions. How can this place be preserved as a memorial without disturbing the peace of the deceased? The local community and scientists are actively engaged in discussions about how to balance the preservation of historical heritage with respect for the memory of the victims.
Dive expeditions have led to the discovery of more than 200 items, now displayed in museums, but the question of whether to retrieve these artifacts from the water remains open.
Some believe these relics should remain on the ocean floor, forever linked to the tragedy. The most shocking thing is that on the ocean floor, the Titanic has become not only a memorial but also a place where natural processes continue to change its appearance, as if it were still alive in the depths of the Atlantic. Ever heard of a sunken cemetery? Truk Lagoon, now known as Chuuk, is one of the most impressive diving spots and a history lesson from World War II. In February 1944, Operation Hailstone took place here, forever altering the region's landscape. As a result, over 60 Japanese ships, including battleships, destroyers, and submarines, were sunk, making Truk one of the world's largest graveyards of military equipment. Imagine this. On the lagoon's floor lie powerful warships that once sailed the Pacific, now covered in coral reefs and marine life. The most famous of the sunken ships is the aircraft carrier Shokaku, a flagship of the Imperial Japanese Navy that was bombed and left in ruins, now serving as a home to numerous marine creatures. But that's not all.
Truk Lagoon is not just a historical repository, it's an open-air museum. Each year, thousands of divers come to explore the sunken vessels that have become part of the ecosystem, attracting not only diving enthusiasts but also scientists studying marine biology and history. For instance, divers can see fish and sea turtles living on the decks of ships, while the ships themselves are covered in vibrant corals and anemones, creating a stark contrast between human creation and nature.
Even at a depth of 30 meters, personal belongings of sailors, such as helmets and weapons, can still be found, becoming part of this underwater museum. This place not only draws adventure seekers, but also serves as a reminder of the tragic events of the past when war claimed many lives. And the most shocking part? These ships still contain unexploded bombs and shells, making the site not only beautiful, but also potentially dangerous for inexperienced divers. Each year, Truk Lagoon becomes more popular among tourists, and experts predict that in the coming years, the number of visitors will exceed 10,000 annually. So, what awaits us on the floor of this historical ocean? The Swedish warship Vasa, a 17th century military vessel, became a true legend after its sinking in 1628, just a few hours after it was launched. Imagine a ship, 36 meters long and armed with 80 cannons, sinking in the Stockholm harbour, claiming the lives of more than 30 people. The tragedy was caused not only by insufficient ballast but also by the ship's excessive height, making it unstable on the waves. For over 300 years the ship lay on the bottom of the Baltic Sea, where salty water and cold temperatures created ideal conditions for preservation.
Remarkably, these conditions slowed down the decomposition process, allowing Vasa to retain a significant portion of its original wood and even some artifacts, including personal items of sailors and objects used on board. In 1961, a complex process of raising the ship began, which turned out to be a true engineering challenge. Specialists used underwater cranes and floating structures to carefully lift the ship.
The process took several years and required hundreds of tons of equipment, as well as meticulous planning to avoid damaging the fragile details. After the successful raising, Vasa was placed in a special museum, where conservation work began.
Unique methods, such as replacing the water in the wood with a special polymer, allowed the ship to be preserved for future generations in its 17th century state.
The preservation of Vasa became an art form. Over the years, scientists developed special solutions and technologies to prevent rotting and destruction, preserving details such as carvings and paintings.
Today, Vasa is not just a ship, but an entire epoch preserved in the past, with a unique collection of artifacts that offer a window into the lives of 17th century sailors.
But did you know that Vasa is not the only sunken ship with such an intriguing fate? The Antikythera shipwreck is not just a discovery, but a genuine sensation that has revolutionized our understanding of ancient Greek navigation and technology.
In 1900, two divers off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera stumbled upon a real underwater treasure, a shipwreck that had been lying on the seabed for over 2,000 years, filled with treasures.
Imagine this. In the hold, there were marble statues so skillfully crafted that even centuries later their details still impress with their clarity, as well as coins, samples of pottery, and other artifacts that offer a glimpse into the lives of ancient Greeks.
But that's not all. The find that shocked archaeologists was the Antikythera mechanism, the oldest known analog computer, used for predicting astronomical events. It consists of a complex system of gears and wheels that operate with remarkable precision, challenging our notions of the technological level of the ancient world.
The size of this mechanism is so impressive that some of its details are only a few centimeters, but overall it assembles into a device the size of a small box. Scientists studying this mechanism found that it could calculate the positions of planets and solar eclipses, as if done with modern technology. The mechanism was found among other artifacts, but its complexity and functionality caused a sensation in the scientific community. The statues and coins found incidentally allowed researchers to determine that the ship was likely returning from a trading voyage, adding another layer of mystery to this discovery. Now imagine this ship, with its valuable cargo, crossing the sea, filled with dangers and adventures, in an era when navigation required courage and skill. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism changed our perception of ancient technologies. We now know that predecessors of modern computers existed thousands of years ago, and their capabilities were far more sophisticated than we could have imagined. This mechanism not only added more mysteries to the already intriguing story of the ancient world, but also opened new horizons for research in the fields of technology and astronomy. Scientists continue to try to unravel its secrets, and each new analysis can lead to even more astonishing discoveries. For example, recent research suggests that the mechanism could have been used not only for calculating astronomical events, but also for determining the timing of sporting events in ancient Greece. Ghost ships, they are not just elements of maritime folklore, but true symbols of fear and uncertainty that have captivated the minds of sailors for centuries.
Did you know that there are more than 100 different legends about such mysterious ships around the world?
These vessels, sailing without a crew, have become personifications of human fears of the unknown, of what can happen in the vast waters of the oceans.
Each tale of a ghost ship sends shivers down the spine. Imagine a night shrouded in fog when a silhouette of a ship that should not exist emerges from the mist.
This is not just a fantasy, but a reflection of the deepest fears associated with loneliness and death at sea. Cultures from Iceland to Japan have their versions of such stories, and often they intersect, creating a common myth about ships that vanish like shadows. Magnificent clipper ships lost in storms, or small fishing boats that disappeared without a trace. Each of these vessels is surrounded by myths and legends. And now, the most intriguing part. According to surveys, 80% of sailors believe in ghost ships, which shows how deeply these stories penetrate the psyche of those who work on the water. How did they originate?
Psychologists argue that such folk tales help sailors cope with psychological stress, reminding them that the sea is full of dangers and mysteries. These legends often serve as warnings, encouraging sailors to be cautious and respect the elements.
But there is more. Some believe that the ghosts of ships are the souls of drowned sailors who have not found peace, and continue to wander the waters in search of completion. Around the world, there are numerous accounts of encounters with such ships, and each of these stories adds new details to the picture of maritime folklore. Did you know that the most famous of these stories are linked to unlucky captains who, according to rumours, remained on their ships forever, not waiting for rescue?
For example, in some regions of the Pacific Ocean, sailors tell of ghost ships that appear during strong storms. These ships, as a rule, foretell disasters, and their appearance is always accompanied by a sense of dread. It is interesting that such stories are passed down from generation to generation, creating a whole culture around the fear and awe of the ocean.
There are even special days when sailors gather to exchange their stories about ghosts, which underscores the importance of these legends in their lives. But do you know what is most astonishing? More than 70% of such stories are based on real events, when ships truly disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only mysteries and questions. The Flying Dutchman, a mysterious ghost ship that has been the subject of legends for centuries. But what lies behind this myth? It all began in the 17th century when sailors navigating the waters off the coast of southern Africa started telling tales of a mysterious ship that could never return home. Captain Van der Decken, according to one version, was obsessed with the idea of rounding the Cape of Good Hope, but his ship was forever cursed. There are various interpretations of his fate. In one he challenged a storm, in another he defied higher powers and was condemned to wander the seas forever. Imagine the chills that run down the spines of sailors when they whisper to each other that the Flying Dutchman is once again on the horizon, shrouded in mist.
Over the centuries, numerous accounts of encounters with this ghostly ship have been recorded, from tales of eerie lights emanating from its sails to visions of it disappearing into the fog. Each new story adds a touch of mystique to the evolving narrative, confirming that the Flying Dutchman is more than just a figment of imagination. It is fascinating that this myth has inspired numerous literary works. For instance, in the 18th century, poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow wrote a ballad about the cursed captain, and composer Richard Wagner created an opera where the Flying Dutchman seeks redemption.
In cinema, this myth has also left its mark. The film Pirates of the Caribbean presented its own version of the Flying Dutchman, becoming an integral part of popular culture. But what is most astonishing? There is even a theory that some historical ships could have been the basis for the legend. For example, in the 17th century, the Dutch built ships with bright sails that could get lost in the fog and become ghostly apparitions for sailors. The Flying Dutchman continues to live in our collective consciousness, and each new mention of this ship raises questions. What if it really exists?
In November of 1872, something extraordinary happened in the Atlantic Ocean that continues to baffle researchers to this day. The brig Maria Celeste was found in pristine condition, but without a single person on board.
The ship was discovered 60 miles from the Azores, and its state was astonishing. The mast stood upright, the sails were intact, and the hold contained a cargo of spirits ready for sale. However, what was most shocking was the fact that the table in the cabin was set for breakfast, as if the crew was about to sit down, but then vanished. There were no lifeboats on deck, and the personal belongings of the crew remained untouched. Such details raised numerous questions. Where did the people go? Theories about the crew's disappearance range from pirate attacks to more scientific explanations. For instance, one version suggests that the crew could have been affected by toxic fumes from the spirits, which might have caused panic and forced them to abandon the ship in haste. There were over 1,400 bottles of spirits on board, and such fumes could have led to suffocation. However, this is not the only theory. Other researchers propose that Maria Celeste might have been a victim of pirates who, learning about the valuable cargo, attacked the ship.
Yet, as many experts discovered, there were no signs of struggle or violence on board, casting doubt on this hypothesis. Now imagine the scene: a ship sailing through stormy seas, with complete silence on board.
Some suggested that the crew might have abandoned the ship, deciding it was becoming unsafe, and left everything behind in a hurry. But where are their traces? Why did no one return to tell their story? There are also rumours that a disease might have broken out on board, forcing the crew to abandon the ship. In the end, the search for Maria Celeste became a real ghost hunt. No traces, only a multitude of questions. Those investigating this mystery continue to seek answers, but have yet to find a definitive explanation. What is even more intriguing is the fact that Maria Celeste was sold in 1873 after being found and sailed out to sea again. However, it disappeared without a trace a few months later. How is this possible? The ship, once a symbol of mystery, has now become another ghost on the ocean, leaving behind only traces of enigma. The schooner Carroll A. Daring was discovered off the coast of North Carolina in 1921, and its history is shrouded in mystery and enigma.
When the ship was found, it was in a rather peculiar state. There was not a single person on board, and the crew's belongings remained untouched. This sparked a storm of speculation and conjecture. The last known contact with Carroll A. Daring occurred in January 1921, when the captain reported that the ship was heading towards the Bahamas. However, contact with the vessel was soon lost. When it was found, there were no apparent damages, but some items, such as navigation instruments and personal belongings, were in disarray. This led to a massive investigation organized by the US government, involving both local and federal agencies. Various theories were considered, including the possibility of mutiny or piracy.
Some researchers even linked the crew's disappearance to the myths of the Bermuda Triangle, a place known for its mysterious disappearances, and Carroll A. Daring was no exception. The entire country was captivated by this story, and various theories about what could have happened to the crew were discussed in newspapers and magazines. Some claimed that the crew could have been captured by pirates, while others suggested that the ship might have encountered a severe storm or even strange natural phenomena in the area. Another theory posited that the crew might have fallen victim to mental manipulation, having supposedly seen strange lights on the horizon. This further fueled interest in the schooner and stirred people's imaginations. As a result, the US
government even dispatched a special team to study all possible evidence on board. Some researchers attempted to determine what actually happened and even developed theories that the ship might have been used for illegal operations. During these investigations, dozens of testimonies and interviews with people connected to the crew were collected.
However, the most intriguing aspect of this story is that no explanation could definitively solve the mystery of the crew's disappearance. For decades, Carroll A. Daring has remained a symbol of enigma, shrouded in myths and speculation, and any mention of it continues to spark questions and debates about what really happened to its crew. In some circles, it is even joked that even 100 years after its discovery, Carroll A. Daring can still provoke disputes and theories about its mysterious adventures at sea. In the 21st century, the world has encountered mysteries that sometimes appear even more mystical than ancient legends.
For instance, the yacht Scottsville was discovered in 2007 off the coast of Australia, and it was not just an abandoned ship. There were no signs of the crew on board, and the vessel was in perfect condition.
Imagine the scene, a yacht drifting on the waters like a lost ghost, evoking both interest and fear. There are theories that the yacht might have been left by its owners due to financial difficulties or personal tragedies, but the true cause of its unexpected appearance remains unclear. Meanwhile, along the shores of Japan, ghost ships from North Korea began to appear, reportedly filled with corpses or completely empty. How many such vessels have washed up? The numbers are staggering, ranging from dozens to hundreds, and each one poses a new mystery to be solved.
What is even more shocking is that some of these ships were built using technologies that were relevant in the mid-20th century, raising questions about their origin and what might be happening on the other side of the sea.
Why do North Korean fishermen risk their lives on such dangerous voyages? The answers may not be as mystical as they seem. It could be due to economic hardship or an attempt to avoid harsh inspections by authorities. But this is not all.
Many of these ships arrive with distress signals recorded, which could have been caused by real maritime disasters. What are the chances that these ships were truly lost, or did their fates end up at the bottom of the ocean?
In contrast to the mystical interpretations that captivate viewers, rational explanations seem much more mundane but no less significant.
Each such discovery is not only an opportunity for speculation, but also a serious reason to ponder what is happening in our world, and what is even more intriguing.
There is a group of researchers who believe that some of these ships might be connected to smuggling and illegal activities, which in turn opens new horizons for discussions on maritime security and international relations. Marine depths have always been a source of fear and fantasy for humanity, and this is not without reason. Imagine an endless sea, hiding creatures capable of turning even the calmest day into a nightmare. In the depths of the ocean, where light does not penetrate, unknown beings dwell, and it is this mystery that inspired ancient civilizations to create myths and legends. It is strange, but many cultures, from ancient Greeks to Japanese samurai, populated their seas with monsters that could tear ships apart with a single movement.
Recall, for instance, how Roman sailors told stories of giant squids capable of dragging entire ships with crews into their black depths.
Moreover, according to statistics, more than 7% of the Earth's surface is covered by oceans, and this space remains significantly unexplored to this day.
Each year, oceanic depths reveal new species that astound the imagination. Some can glow in the dark, while others have spines as large as a human hand.
But this is not the most unusual thing. Scientists suggest that up to 90% of the ocean floor remains unexplored, and no one knows what secrets are hidden there.
Cryptozoology, the science studying mythical creatures like the Yeti and the Loch Ness Monster, also focuses on marine legends. Research shows that many of these legends could have originated from misinterpretations of real animals that suddenly disappeared or were never seen. What is even more shocking?
Scientists claim that some of the marine creatures that are the subject of rumors may be undiscovered species that exist on the edge of our understanding. And when you think that marine monsters are just myths, remember, every year new species are found in the oceans that seem to come from another world. For example, in 2018, a fish with a transparent head and eyes looking upwards was discovered. It was as if it had come straight out of a horror movie. So, when you think about marine depths, remember, there in the darkness, creatures may be hiding that human eyes have never seen before. Kraken is not just a mythical creature, but a true symbol of human fear of the unknown, which originated in Scandinavian legends about a giant squid capable of dragging ships to the bottom of the sea.
In these stories, Kraken was described as a monster with tentacles up to 100 meters long, vividly illustrating how people tried to explain the inexplicable, the disappearance of ships in stormy waters of Norway and Sweden.
But did you know that this myth could have been based on observations of real creatures? In the 18th century, Swedish naturalist Carl Linnaeus first described a giant squid that could reach lengths of up to 20 meters, a discovery that could have caused a sensation had it not been overshadowed by the reality of Kraken. And that's where things get interesting. With each new discovery about marine life, the image of Kraken evolved from a myth to a scientific interpretation. In literature, this archetype became a cultural phenomenon, starting with Jules Verne's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where Kraken took on a new form as a giant octopus attacking a submarine. This work inspired generations of writers and artists, transforming Kraken into a symbol of humanity's struggle against nature. In the 1930s, Kraken resurfaced in literature, comics, and films like The Human Fish and Pirates of the Caribbean, where it became not just a monster but an embodiment of the sea's power. Yet even in modern interpretations such as Pacific Rim, Kraken retains its mystical aura, evoking both fear and awe.
Here's an interesting fact. Giant squids can reach lengths of up to 14 meters, and their eyes are the largest in the animal kingdom, with a diameter of up to 20 centimeters.
These remarkable creatures remain a mystery to science, as only a few specimens have been caught and studied. And here's the paradox. With each new discovery, we get closer to understanding these enigmatic beings. But Kraken, as a symbol, continues to live in our imagination, evoking the same awe and fear of the ocean's depths. The Loch Ness Monster, known as Nessie, has become a symbol of Scottish myths and mysteries, and its story begins with the first reports in the 16th century, when local residents claimed to have seen a giant creature in Loch Ness. However, the real sensation occurred in 1934 when the famous surgeon's photograph was taken. This black and white image, showing something resembling a long neck and head, soon became an icon of cryptozoology. However, it was later discovered that this was a hoax, and the photograph was created to attract attention and secure funding for further research. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. At the time, the world was gripped by genuine excitement.
After the photograph was taken, expeditions to Loch Ness began using modern equipment. One of the first major studies was conducted in 1987 when a group of scientists used sonar and underwater cameras to explore the depths of the lake.
They delved into the mysteries hidden at depths of up to 1,200 meters, where the water temperature does not rise above 8 degrees and darkness reigns constantly. Do you know what they found? Nothing. But this did not stop the myth of Nessie. With each new expedition, the number of witnesses and supporters of the theory of its existence grew. Some scientists suggested that the observations could be explained by ordinary animals, such as otters or even large fish, but for many this was not enough. There are theories that Nessie is a surviving plesiosaur, which somehow managed to survive in the isolated lake.
But here's the most intriguing part. In 1991, a group of researchers discovered anomalies in the lake that suggested the depths of Loch Ness might hide something more than just fish.
Nessie has not only been the subject of scientific research but also a cultural phenomenon. Numerous legends, souvenirs and even films revolve around it.
In the Scottish villages surrounding the lake, festivals and events dedicated to this cryptid are held, and local residents take pride in their monster, which attracts tourists from all over the world.
This discovery has spawned an ecosystem, from restaurants named Nessie to shops selling souvenirs where you can buy toys. Among sailors of the 18th and 19th centuries, there were numerous tales of sea serpents, which often became subjects of discussion and debate. One of the most famous incidents occurred in 1848, when the captain of the HMS Daedalus, Sir Oliver Lodge, recorded an observation of a mysterious creature whose length, according to his account, was around 30 meters. He described it as a long, serpentine creature with smooth skin and a large head, swimming on the surface of the water and leaving powerful waves in its wake. This report served as the basis for numerous theories about what sailors might have seen and sparked heated debates in scientific circles.
Many captains recorded similar sightings in their ship logs, emphasizing the creature's enormous size and remarkable movements.
For example, Captain Nelson aboard the HMS Victory in 1839 mentioned something that looked like a giant serpent while his ship was in the Caribbean Sea. In 1805, sailors on a merchant ship called Saint Louis encountered a creature estimated to be 27 meters long, with spines along its back, which also fit the description of a sea serpent. But what were these experienced sailors really seeing? Some researchers suggested that the observations could have been caused by optical illusions related to the refraction of light over hot seawater. Others argued that these could have been rare fish species such as eels, which can grow to significant sizes and appear quite impressive under certain conditions. For instance, eels of the smooth variety can reach lengths of 3 meters and when improperly lit could indeed resemble sea serpents. Furthermore, in some cases, these sightings were attributed to giant squids whose tentacles can reach lengths of 10 meters, adding another layer of mystery to the debate about what these sea serpents actually were. These incidents not only fueled interest in maritime folklore, but also led to the creation of numerous artistic works where sea creatures became symbols of the unexplored depths of the ocean. While some scientists continued to investigate the possibility of such creatures' existence, others pointed out that many of these stories could simply be the result of sailors' imaginations, tired from long days at sea.
Nevertheless, the mystery of sea serpents persisted, and new research in the 1990s revealed that some of these myths could be substantiated when evidence of creatures thought to be extinct, but still inhabiting deep waters was discovered.
For example, remains of giant marine lizards were found, which were known only from fossils.
In the 30th year of the 20th century, an event occurred that revolutionized our understanding of marine fauna. A coelacanth, a fish thought to have gone extinct over 65 million years ago, was caught in the waters near Madagascar.
This living fossil became a sensation for scientists who had long believed that coelacanths had died out at the end of the Cretaceous period, leaving only fossils for study. Imagine the shock of researchers when they learned that a species they had only read about in the past was still alive.
When fisherman Emile Wagon pulled this unusual specimen from the water, he had no idea that his catch would become one of the most significant scientific discoveries of the 20th century.
The coelacanth, reaching lengths of up to 2 meters, had a unique fin structure reminiscent of the limbs of terrestrial vertebrates, suggesting early stages of evolution. The study of this species allowed scientists to peer into the past and understand what the ancestors of modern fish might have looked like.
But this discovery was not just a triumph for biologists, it also raised numerous questions. How did coelacanths manage to survive when all their kin had gone extinct? The answer proved to be just as fascinating.
These fish prefer deep waters, where they can hide from predators and avoid competition with other species. But that's not the most astonishing fact. coelacanths possess the ability to regenerate damaged tissues, similar to some lizards. Shockingly, coelacanths have a unique organ that allows them to sense electric fields, making them hunters in the dark depths of the ocean.
This discovery not only expanded the horizons of scientific knowledge but also reminded us that the world of the oceans is full of mysteries and unknown creatures. The discovery of the coelacanth inspired researchers to embark on new expeditions, during which other rare species were found, such as the stonefish and the goblin sharks. And the most incredible part?
With each new discovery, scientists become more convinced that the depths of the ocean still hold many secrets waiting to be revealed. The sounds of the ocean are a mysterious symphony, filling the depths with a multitude of melodies that sometimes sound like a whisper and sometimes like a loud cry.
Water, penetrating every corner, creates a unique acoustic environment where the roar of the waves mixes with the cries of whales, creating an unparalleled atmosphere.
Imagine how waves crash against cliffs, producing sounds that can be heard for tens of kilometers. Hydrophones placed at various points in the ocean record these sounds, collecting recordings that open new horizons in understanding marine life.
Did you know that some sounds can travel up to 8,000 kilometers? It's as if you could hear a friend's whisper from the other side of the earth.
And that's where it gets really strange. Amidst familiar sounds, one can discover mysterious phenomena whose origins remain unclear. As scientists use modern technologies like massive underwater microphones, they record sounds that defy explanation. Sometimes they sound like music, and sometimes like mysterious sounds that might belong to unknown creatures. In one such recording, a sound was captured that was later dubbed the bomber sound, a powerful low-frequency hum that left researchers baffled.
But that's not all. Some sounds originate from natural processes like underwater volcanoes or earthquakes, creating complex symphonies that can last for hours.
Now imagine, in these depths where darkness reigns, every sound can be a key to unraveling the mysteries that the oceans hide. Scientists continue to discover new sound patterns, and each one promises to open new horizons in our understanding of the underwater world. And what's even more astonishing, some sounds that we cannot yet explain might indicate the existence of forms of life about which we are not even aware.
Did you know that in 1997, an unexplained sound phenomenon known as Barda's noise was recorded?
This sound astonished scientists with its extraordinarily low frequency, reaching just 0.6 of a hertz, making it virtually inaudible to the human ear. However, the amplitude of this sound was so great that it could be detected at a distance of more than 3,000 kilometers from the source. Geographically, Barda's noise was localized in the southern part of the Pacific Ocean, in an area where the ocean depth exceeds 3.5 kilometers. But what is truly intriguing is that the sources of this sound remain a subject of debate and theories. Some scientists suggest that it may be related to biological phenomena, such as an unknown type of whale that emits such low-frequency sounds during communication or navigation. Others propose that it could be the result of geological processes, such as an underwater volcanic eruption, which could have caused a sudden change in pressure and consequently acoustic waves. And here is where it gets really fascinating. Some researchers even hypothesize that Barda's noise could be the result of underwater activity related to tectonic plates, moving with such force that they generate sounds capable of shaking the surrounding waters. This phenomenon posed a challenge to acousticians and oceanologists, forcing them to re-evaluate their understanding of the underwater world and the interactions of its inhabitants. But do you know that even despite all these theories, none of them has been definitively confirmed? Now imagine that this mysterious sound might be the key to discovering a completely new form of life, about which we are not even aware. Did you know about Julia's whistle? This mysterious sound, recorded by hydrophones in the Pacific Ocean in 1999, became a sensation in the scientific community. Its acoustic characteristics are so unique that scientists are still baffled by its origin. Julia's whistle sounds like a continuous, deep whistle that lasted more than 20 seconds, with a frequency ranging from 80 to 130 Hz, below the hearing threshold for most marine creatures. And that's where it gets truly bizarre. The sound repeats every 23 minutes, making it unlike any known biological source.
For instance, whales and dolphins produce sounds that are entirely different in nature and structure, raising the question, where does this whistle come from? Some scientists suggest that Julia's whistle might be linked to underwater volcanoes.
Volcanic activity in the ocean could produce sounds similar to this whistle, but no observed phenomenon could explain its regularity and clarity.
Other hypotheses connect it to human activity, such as the operation of underwater vehicles, but none have been confirmed. The uniqueness of Julia's whistle lies in its lack of a clear source, making it a truly enigmatic phenomenon.
What's even more astonishing? The sound was recorded at a depth of nearly 3,000 meters where the pressure reaches 800 atmospheres. Imagine submerging an entire boat to the ocean floor. Studies show that such sounds can arise from the interaction of sound waves with underwater structures, but the exact mechanism remains unknown. As a result, Julia's whistle has become the subject of numerous studies and debates among oceanologists and acousticians. And the most intriguing part, while scientists continue to investigate this mysterious sound, it remains an unsolved enigma that could reveal a whole new world of underwater acoustics. On July 31st, 1997 in the Indian Ocean, an enigmatic sound known as the uplift signal was recorded.
This sound, lasting approximately 30 seconds, astonished scientists with its distinctive rapid frequency increase, reaching a peak in the range of 18 to 22 Hz, making it unique among other acoustic phenomena. Geographically, the uplift signal was recorded in an area known as the uplift zone, located south of the Indian Ocean near the island of Mauritius, adding intrigue as this region is also tectonically active.
Scientists immediately began proposing various theories about the nature of this sound.
One of the most discussed hypotheses is its connection to seismic activity, given that this area frequently experiences earthquakes and underwater volcanic eruptions that could generate sound waves of this type.
However, what is truly intriguing is that some researchers suggest that the uplift signal might originate from yet undiscovered deep-sea creatures that use such sounds for communication or navigation in the dark depths of the ocean. This hypothesis is based on observations of other marine inhabitants, such as sperm whales and dolphins, which emit sounds for communication over long distances. But that's not all. A theory has been proposed that this sound could be linked to changes in the underwater ecosystem caused by methane releases from the ocean floor, which can not only produce acoustic phenomena, but also alter the behavior of marine animals.
Relatively recently, in 2020, a group of researchers from the University of Wisconsin suggested that the uplift signal might be the result of interactions between water masses and underwater geological structures, causing sharp pressure changes.
This version is based on the analysis of other sounds recorded in the oceans that also exhibit such frequency increase characteristics.
Remarkably, the uplift signal remains an unsolved mystery in oceanography, and its nature continues to spark heated debates among scientists.
Perhaps this sound holds the key to understanding new forms of life or ecosystems under threat of extinction, which are still hidden from our view. Humpback whales possess an astonishing ability for bioacoustic communication, with their songs lasting up to 30 minutes and consisting of complex musical compositions filled with melodies and rhythms. Scientists have recorded over 100 different songs, each of which can comprise several melodies, and some even change their structure depending on the time of year or the region they inhabit. What is most remarkable is that these whales have genuine regional dialects that differ based on location. This means that humpback whales from one area may sing completely differently from their counterparts in another region, creating a unique sonic identity for each population.
For instance, humpback whales in the Pacific Ocean may have melodies and rhythms that are not heard in the Atlantic Ocean, indicating cultural diversity among these creatures. What is even more astonishing is that over time, the melodies of humpback whales evolve. Researchers have found that some songs become increasingly complex, while others lose their elements.
This can occur due to social interactions among whales, where new melodies emerge and spread throughout the population, much like fashion trends among humans.
Furthermore, the sounds of humpback whales can travel up to 200 kilometers underwater. Imagine that distance. This is equivalent to hearing music from the next street while in a house several blocks away.
Scientists suggest that such loud and complex sound signals can serve multiple functions, from attracting mates during mating rituals to transmitting cultural information.
For example, young whales may learn to sing from their elders, helping them adapt to life within a specific group. Studies show that when a whale changes its song, it can indicate a change in social status or even migration to new areas.
But that's not all. It turns out that humpback whales use sounds not only for communication, but also for navigation in the open ocean. They listen to their surroundings using echolocation, making their communication even more multifunctional.
Remarkably, some researchers even propose that their songs may carry information about the state of the environment, such as water temperature or the presence of food.
The vocal signals of humpback whales become a true language that conveys not only emotions, but also important information about the world they inhabit.
Deep-sea anomalies are a true enigma, shrouded in mystery that continues to stir the minds of scientists and researchers worldwide.
Imagine this: in the most inaccessible and darkest corners of the ocean, where light never reaches, modern instruments record strange and inexplicable phenomena that challenge our understanding of nature. For instance, in the depths of the ocean, at depths exceeding 6,000 meters, unusual sounds are recorded, the origin of which defies logical explanation. These sounds can last from a few seconds to several minutes and resemble cracks, roars, or even melodic notes that seem unlikely to come from the usual inhabitants of the deep sea.
But this is not all. Researchers have encountered anomalous temperature changes in the water at great depths, which can vary by as much as 30 degrees Celsius over a few meters, causing bewilderment and casting doubt on established physical laws.
How is this possible? And here is where things get truly bizarre. In some cases, sensors detect sudden pressure spikes that appear out of nowhere and disappear just as quickly. What lies behind these mysteries? Often, these are explanations that do not yet fit within the framework of our traditional science. Some scientists suggest that this could be related to the activity of underwater volcanoes, or even to forms of life that may exist in these extreme conditions. But what is even more shocking?
In the deep waters, anomalies have been discovered that appear to be created by human hands, geometric shapes resembling artificial structures that have no counterparts in nature.
These structures raise numerous questions about the technologies that could have created them and how they ended up there.
Research indicates that these anomalies may be linked to lost underwater civilizations, which are not mentioned in historical records. What if the depths of the ocean hold the answers to questions that humanity has been asking for thousands of years?
It is important to note that many of these phenomena have been recorded using high-tech equipment that uses sound waves to study the ocean floor at depths of over 7 kilometers.
With methods such as sonar tomography, scientists can see what was previously hidden from human sight. This opens up new horizons for research. But this is not the end.
Some of these anomalies, for example, have permanent coordinates that repeat in different corners of the ocean, creating a mystical connection between them. It is possible that this is not just a coincidence, but something more global and reverential towards nature.
Recent research shows that some of these anomalies may be linked to magnetism, or even to geological structures that we still do not understand.
And just when it seems that the solution is close, new data once again casts doubt on all the theories that were previously proposed.
But what is truly intriguing? Some of these anomalies could provide clues about how life on Earth developed and what secrets it still holds.
The object discovered on the bottom of the Baltic Sea in 2011 immediately caught the attention of scientists and adventurers alike. Its shape resembles the Death Star from Star Wars, which already suggests something extraordinary. The diameter of this anomaly is approximately 70 meters, and its surface is covered with strange traces that clearly indicate that something unusual happened here. These traces, resembling those of massive machinery, lead to the anomaly itself, as if someone was trying to build something or, conversely, leave this place. And that's where things get really bizarre. Underwater vehicles investigating this object registered anomalies in the operation of electrical equipment up to 100 meters away from it. This raises the question of what is really hidden beneath the water's surface. What's even more shocking? Scientists' opinions are divided. Some claim it's a result of natural geological processes, such as the formation of underwater rocks, while others are convinced it's an artificial object, possibly left behind by an extraterrestrial civilization.
Interestingly, during a detailed examination of the anomaly, unusual sounds and vibrations were discovered that did not match ordinary underwater phenomena.
Some researchers even suggest that the object could be part of a submerged ancient civilization about which no written records remain. And now, imagine this. Near the anomaly, high-frequency signals were registered that no one could identify. This could mean that it is still active or, at the very least, interacting with the surrounding environment. Around this anomaly, a real battle is unfolding between skeptics and proponents of the theory of its artificial origin. While some believe it to be just a rock, others are convinced it is something more than just a natural phenomenon. And the craziest part?
Parallel to the research of the anomaly, strange disappearances of underwater vehicles have been occurring in its vicinity, further fueling interest and passion among researchers. Imagine a structure hidden at a depth of 700 meters off the coast of Cuba, where underwater sonars have revealed geometrically precise forms reminiscent of urban planning.
These mysterious formations, discovered in 2001, are astonishing in their symmetry, straight lines and angles that seem too perfect for natural origins.
Some researchers claim these could be remnants of a sunken civilization, while others insist they are merely natural formations.
What is even more shocking is that if these structures are indeed artificial, they could be several thousand years old, challenging our understanding of human civilization in this region. But that's not the only strange thing. The political situation around Cuba makes further research difficult. The country's authorities are cautious and reluctant to grant access to this area, sparking scientific debates and disputes over the right to study such objects. What's even more astonishing?
Many scientists, including Professor Richard Foster from the University of Texas, suggest these structures could be linked to myths of lost civilizations like Atlantis.
Imagine working on a project where each new discovery can change our understanding of the past.
Research is complicated not only by political barriers but also by technical challenges. Underwater vehicles capable of operating at such depths often struggle to gather information due to strong currents and high pressures. Some scientists even speculate that these underwater formations might contain traces of life that remain undetected.
And what's most intriguing, sonar data show that the traces of these structures extend for kilometers, creating a network that could resemble an underwater megacity. With each new investigation, more questions arise, and each answer only generates more mysteries. The water hiding these pyramids may hold an entire history that humanity is not yet ready to understand. At a depth of more than 30 meters off the coast of Yonaguni Island, there are unusual structures that attract the attention of both archaeologists and geologists. Imagine straight angles that seem to be cut with incredible precision, and stepped forms reminiscent of giant staircases leading into the abyss.
These underwater monuments have become the subject of heated debates. Some researchers insist on their natural origin, claiming that unique erosion processes of sandstone could have created such forms, while others believe that they may be remnants of an ancient civilization that existed more than 10,000 years ago. But what is really happening underwater? Geologists argue that such forms could have been created by the actions of waves and currents that, over thousands of years, process the rock, creating straight edges and angles.
In this context, they refer to similar natural formations around the world, but what is truly astonishing, some archaeologists point to possible traces of columns and platforms that cannot be explained by natural processes alone. They suggest that these structures could have been part of a complex architecture and even find similarities with known monuments such as the pyramids in Mexico. This raises the question, are these really just the work of nature, or is there a forgotten culture behind them? And here is where it gets even more intriguing. Research shows that in this area there are fragments of stones that could be part of a larger structure intended for ritual purposes. Inspired by this idea, archaeologists continue to explore the underwater depths, hoping to find evidence of the existence of a civilization about which we know almost nothing. What is even more astonishing, on the seabed, large stone blocks weighing several tons have been found, and their arrangement is surprising. They seem to be organized in such a way as to create geometric patterns. How did they get there?
Some researchers suggest that these were simple building technologies that could have been lost over the centuries.
These structures continue to hold many mysteries, and each new discovery only adds more questions. For example, recently found artifacts that could confirm the presence of people in this region much earlier than previously thought.
Each new step in the study of these underwater monuments only fuels the interest in the unsolved mysteries of antiquity.
Doggerland, known as the Atlantis of the North Sea, is submerged beneath waters that once formed part of a vast landmass connecting Britain to continental Europe. Imagine this, 6,500 years ago, fertile lands stretched here, where mammoths roamed and wild plants were gathered.
Research shows that this was a thriving ecosystem, teeming with life, and archaeologists have found tools used by ancient people to fish in these abundant waters.
For instance, fishing nets have yielded animal remains, deer bones and even the remains of marine mammals, indicating that people actively exploited this region's resources. But that's not all. Geologists and paleobotanists are reconstructing Doggerland's landscape and climate, and their findings suggest that forests with trees up to 30 meters tall and meadows with rare plant species once flourished here.
What's astonishing is that the sea level began to rise just a few hundred years after the last ice age ended, leading to the gradual submersion of this land.
The water depths now covering Doggerland conceal its ancient secrets, and each new discovery, whether tools or remains, adds to the mysteries of this place. Did you know that the sea level has risen by more than 30 meters over the last 8,000 years? Each year, researchers uncover new evidence of life on Doggerland, allowing us to better understand how people adapted to environmental changes.
Some finds, such as stone tools and animal remains, indicate that small communities lived here, hunting and gathering food.
And here's where it gets really fascinating. Scientists have discovered that some of these tools were made from rare materials that could have been brought from far away. How is this possible? The secret lies in the fact that ancient people were skilled traders and exchangers. With each new discovery, we delve deeper into this submerged civilization, which once was home to people and animals, and its history remains a mystery. Isn't it amazing? Even at a depth of just 30 meters underwater, artifacts are found that could revolutionize our understanding of how human civilization developed in Europe.
Oceanic trenches, which resemble mysterious chasms in the ocean floor, can reach depths of several kilometers and captivate the imagination not only of scientists but also of researchers.
Imagine colossal formations as if tearing themselves into the abyss, hiding secrets that could revolutionize our understanding of oceanic ecosystems. These trenches can have diameters exceeding 30 kilometers, and their shapes vary from perfect circles to irregular, whimsical contours, creating a sense of mystique at the ocean's depths. The most intriguing fact? Some of these trenches form due to underwater volcanoes that spew massive amounts of lava, creating landscapes inaccessible to humans. But this is just the beginning. In some cases, trenches form due to active tectonic processes, where plates shift, causing colossal landslides.
These movements typically occur at the boundaries of continental plates, where gigantic masses of Earth collide, creating deep chasms that can reach depths of up to 10 kilometers.
Scientists still cannot precisely explain how these formations affect marine life, but it is known that unusual creatures inhabit their vicinity, which are not found elsewhere.
Underwater researchers report encounters with organisms capable of surviving conditions that would destroy most known forms of life.
Some even inhabit hot springs where temperatures exceed 100 degrees Celsius, prompting us to wonder what other mysteries the ocean floor hides. But the mysteries do not end with these creatures. In some trenches, remains of ancient ships have been found, sparking numerous theories about lost civilizations and their treasures. Questions that arise for researchers become increasingly intriguing. How did these ships get there, and what did they carry? Each new dive opens new horizons, and each discovery is an opportunity to unravel another oceanic mystery. Trenches also significantly impact global climate processes, as they are places where carbon dioxide exchange occurs, influencing the oxygen levels in the ocean. These formations resemble enigmatic doors to another reality, where every detail can tell a story. And the most shocking thing? Scientists suggest that artifacts on the bottom of these trenches could change our perception of human history. The Great Blue Hole off the coast of Belize is not just a natural formation, but a true gem of the underwater world that impresses with its size and beauty. Imagine, the diameter of this sinkhole reaches 318 meters, and its depth is 124 meters. It's like a giant bowl submerged in the turquoise waters of the Caribbean Sea, vividly contrasting with the dark blue color of the sinkhole itself. But how did it form? Over thousands of years, karst processes at this location created underground caves that eventually collapsed, resulting in the formation of this impressive sinkhole when sea levels rose.
The oxygen stratification in the Great Blue Hole creates unique conditions for life. At different depths, there is a varying amount of oxygen forming separate ecosystems.
On the surface, you can encounter vibrant tropical fish like parrotfish and surgeonfish, while at greater depths, more mysterious creatures such as sharks, moray eels, and even rare types of jellyfish inhabit the area. The most fascinating part? Around 30 meters deep, there is a zone with low oxygen content where life becomes more complex, and the species that live there have adapted to these conditions.
The Great Blue Hole not only attracts divers from around the world, but is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
This status underscores its importance not only as a natural monument but also as a scientific object for studying ecosystems and climate change.
Each dive into this sinkhole becomes a real adventure, as divers can see underwater stalactites and stalagmites left over from ancient caves. And that's not all.
Inside the sinkhole, there are unique geological structures that cause genuine awe in researchers and lovers of the underwater world. However, it's important to note that this blue hole is not just an amazing sight, but also a crucial indicator of the state of the surrounding environment. Changes in its ecosystems can signal global ecological problems.
Can you imagine that even small changes in water temperature can affect the inhabitants of this unique place?
And if you think that's all, it gets even more exciting. Researchers continue to discover new species and mysteries hidden within this enigmatic sinkhole, and each year brings new insights into its ecosystems and geological history. The Blue Hole of Dahab, located off the coast of Egypt, is notorious for its grim reputation as a killer hole due to numerous tragic incidents involving divers. Over the past decades, more than 60 people have lost their lives here, causing fear among scuba diving enthusiasts. The depth of this hole exceeds 100 meters, and the underwater archway situated between 52 and 55 meters is a real trap for inexperienced divers. Formed by complex geological processes, this passage has narrow and convoluted paths that only the most experienced divers can navigate without risking their lives. Imagine descending into crystal clear waters, only to be suddenly swept away by a strong current that can carry you tens of meters off your planned route. These currents, characteristic of this region, can disorient even professionals, making each dive potentially dangerous. But that's not all.
Diving to such depths presents the problem of nitrogen narcosis, which can cause disorientation and even loss of consciousness.
This issue becomes particularly acute at depths where the pressure significantly increases, making even simple tasks seem challenging.
Divers require specialized training and the highest level of qualification to avoid the dangers lurking at every turn.
For instance, safe diving in the blue hole requires not only knowledge of swimming techniques but also the ability to manage one's state in high-pressure conditions.
In such moments, it's crucial to remember the importance of adhering to decompression schedules, which can take from several minutes to several hours, depending on the depth and time spent underwater. Oh, and don't forget about additional equipment. Spare tanks, special computers for monitoring nitrogen levels, and other devices become essential companions for any planned dives. Even the most experienced divers must be prepared for any unexpected challenges that await them in this mysterious depth. And now you're on the bottom, where you see sunlight dancing and refracting in the water, creating magical scenes.
But do you know that this beauty hides numerous dangers that can go unnoticed? Divers who decide to dive into the blue hole must remember that every second can be crucial. Submerged caves of Yucatan are not mere natural formations, but true gateways to the world of ancient Maya. Imagine how collapsed limestone vaults create deep cenotes, interconnected in a complex network of tunnels stretching over 100 kilometers. These caves have been forming for millions of years as underground rivers gradually eroded soft limestone, creating breathtaking underwater landscapes. The water in the cenotes is crystal clear, with a vivid turquoise hue, inviting exploration of their mysteries. But that's not all. For the Maya, these places held sacred significance. They believed the cenotes were portals to the underworld, where sacrifices could be offered to the gods.
Archaeologists have found remnants of sacrifices in some of these cenotes, including human and animal bones, as well as ritual objects left in hope of divine favor.
Some of these artifacts date back thousands of years, shedding light on belief systems that shaped the lives of ancient Maya. The water in the cenotes not only provided drinking water but also served as a site for rituals that could last for days. The process of sacrifice often involved complex rituals during which participants wore special attire and brought offerings to seek the gods' favor. When you descend into these underwater caves, you feel part of this ancient world where each stone tells a story. What is even more intriguing is that in some places, scientists find traces of ancient ritual paths leading to the cenotes, indicating their importance in Maya culture as places of worship and communication with spirits. These caves are not just geological formations, they hold secrets waiting to be discovered. Think of how many lives have passed by these waters, and what other mysteries they might conceal in their depths. Places like the cenotes of Yucatan help us understand how ancient civilizations interacted with nature and their beliefs. And all of this is reflected in the wonders we can observe today, from the peculiar stalactites and stalagmites to the unique fauna inhabiting these underwater depths. The underwater cave system of Sac Actun on the Yucatan Peninsula is astonishingly extensive, stretching over 350 kilometers, making it the longest flooded cave system in the world. Imagine a labyrinth of corridors and chambers stretching beneath the earth, forming unique stalactites and stalagmites that have been evolving over thousands of years. These formations, like living sculptures, reveal the history of geological changes that occurred in the region when the water level was significantly lower. And that's not all. These caves have yielded the remains of ancient animals and humans, dating back up to 12,000 years, each telling its own story. Among these finds, the skeleton of Naya, a girl from the Paleolithic era, stands out. Her remains, discovered in 2009, have provided an unprecedented understanding of life during those distant times.
Her skeleton is one of the most significant discoveries, confirming that the territory of Yucatan was inhabited long before the emergence of known civilizations.
But there's more. In Sac Actun, archaeologists have found tools and fragments of pottery, remarkably well preserved, used by local inhabitants for food storage.
Each artifact found in these underwater depths opens a window into the past, helping us understand how ancient civilizations adapted to their environment. What's even more astonishing,
these caves not only preserve traces of humans, but are also home to numerous unique ecosystems, where rare fish and microorganisms, adapted to life in complete darkness, thrive.
Sac Actun is not just a natural formation, it is an entire universe where every turn hides new mysteries and discoveries, waiting for their explorers.
Humanity has always striven to explore the unknown depths, and deep-sea research has become a true symbol of this endeavour. Imagine this. At depths exceeding 10 kilometres, the pressure reaches 800 atmospheres. It's like being crushed by 30 cars at once. To overcome such extreme conditions, engineers have developed technologies that enable not only descending into these dark abysses, but also collecting valuable data on unusual ecosystems. In the darkness, where sunlight never reaches, organisms have adapted to survive in extreme conditions. Some of them glow in the dark, creating unique light shows. But how do they survive in temperatures around 0 degrees Celsius? Their secret lies in biochemical processes that allow them to extract energy from chemical compounds, not sunlight. Complex structures like hydrothermal vents serve as the source of life for these creatures, and scientists are just beginning to understand how these ecosystems function.
Deep-sea areas are also filled with extraordinary geological formations. Picture underwater volcanoes spewing molten magma into cold waters, creating unique habitats. But this is not the strangest part. Some regions of the ocean, such as the Mariana Trench, remain virtually unexplored, and scientists suspect that there may be species that humanity has never seen. Did you know that more than 90% of the ocean remains unexplored? This opens up endless possibilities for future research and discoveries.
With each new dive, scientists uncover more evidence of ecosystems that could provide answers to questions about the origin of life on Earth. Every time we descend into the depths, we edge closer to solving ancient mysteries, and this is just the beginning. The oceans may hide not only new species but entire ecosystems that could revolutionize our understanding of life on the planet. The Bathyscaphe Trieste became a symbol of underwater research and incredible adventures when, in 1960, Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh descended to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. The structure of the apparatus was meticulously designed, a robust spherical capsule made of special steel, capable of withstanding pressure greater than 1,200 atmospheres. This capsule could accommodate 2 researchers, while the float, filled with gasoline, ensured the necessary buoyancy and stability during the descent. The entire apparatus was approximately 8 meters long and weighed more than 15 tons, making it one of the heaviest underwater vehicles of its time. The 9-hour descent began with Trieste slowly descending into the black abyss of the ocean. Each minute was filled with excitement, as Piccard and Walsh were descending to a depth where no one had previously been. As soon as they reached a depth of around 10,900 meters, silence enveloped them, broken only by a soft rustling of water. Then something extraordinary happened. They encountered a flounder which seemed to be curiously examining the strangers in its underwater world. This encounter became a symbol of the connection between humans and the unexplored depths of the ocean. On the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the researchers spent only 20 minutes, but in that time, they collected samples and made the first photographs, which became invaluable to science. Their expedition not only opened new horizons for oceanography, but also demonstrated that the human spirit can overcome any obstacle. Trieste returned to the surface, leaving behind a multitude of questions and mysteries awaiting their researchers. No previous mission could boast such high scientific significance. The results of the descent helped understand how life could exist in conditions previously considered inhospitable. And the most astonishing fact?
Organisms were found at the bottom of the Mariana Trench that could not have survived under any other conditions, opening new horizons for the study of life on Earth. The deep-sea vehicle Mira is a true engineering marvel, capable of descending to depths of up to 6,000 meters.
Its unique design features 2 spherical compartments made of special titanium, ensuring unparalleled strength and safety during dives into the deepest ocean points.
Imagine this. The vehicle can withstand pressure equivalent to more than 600 tons per square meter. Mira is equipped with modern life support systems that allow a 2-person crew to stay underwater for up to 12 hours.
This is achieved through a complex system of oxygen regeneration and carbon dioxide removal, maintaining comfortable conditions even at such depths. But that's not all. The vehicle is equipped with manipulators that can handle objects weighing up to 50 kilograms, making it ideal for scientific research and sample collection.
With these manipulators, scientists were able to retrieve unique samples from the ocean floor, helping to better understand deep-sea ecosystems.
The scientific equipment on Mira includes high-resolution cameras, sonars, and various sensors that provide data on temperature, pressure, and water composition.
This equipment was used in some of the most significant expeditions, including the investigation of the sunken Titanic in 1991.
At that time, Mira not only captured unique footage of the famous liner's remains but also collected valuable data on its structure and the surrounding environment. A few years later, the vehicle dove back into the ocean to study hydrothermal vents, which serve as oases of life in the vast depths. What's even more astonishing, Mira also participated in the filming of James Cameron's iconic movie Titanic, where it was used to create underwater scenes that captivated audiences with their realism. Cameron himself even descended in Mira to capture unique footage for his masterpiece. This vehicle has become not just a tool for researchers, but a symbol of humanity's quest to explore the unknown depths of the ocean. It is remarkable that throughout its history, Mira has made over 40 descents, each bringing new discoveries and fascinating facts about life on the ocean floor.
Modern deep-sea drones and autonomous underwater vehicles are true technological marvels that are revolutionizing the approach to ocean research, including the most inaccessible areas.
These devices offer numerous advantages over manned vessels, one of which is the complete absence of risk to human life.
For instance, vehicles like Remus and Bluefin can operate at depths of up to 3,000 meters, performing tasks that would be too dangerous for a crew.
Additionally, autonomous drones can conduct long missions, often lasting several months, which is not feasible for manned vessels due to the need for constant human presence. The size of these devices is significantly smaller. The length of Bluefin is only 2 meters, whereas a manned vessel of the same size would be several times larger and more complex to operate. The technical specifications of drones are impressive. For example, Remus weighs only 150 kilograms and is equipped with powerful navigation systems based on GPS and inertial sensors, allowing it to accurately determine its location even in deep water. Energy supply is another crucial aspect. Most drones use lithium-ion batteries that can operate for several weeks without recharging, unlike manned vessels that require constant maintenance and fuel.
Moreover, data collection systems in these vehicles include high-quality hydrophones, cameras, and specialized sensors that enable the exploration of the ocean floor and the collection of information about its structure and ecosystems.
Communication with the surface is achieved through acoustic channels, allowing real-time data transmission, which is crucial for timely analysis.
For example, the Ocean Infinity drone was able to map and chart areas of the ocean floor previously considered inaccessible, including sites where historical ships have sunk.
These technologies not only open new horizons for ocean floor mapping, but also allow the exploration of ecosystems that have long remained in the shadows.
It is expected that in the next decade, autonomous underwater vehicles will be actively used in scientific and commercial purposes, raising our knowledge of marine depths to a completely new level.
But did you know that some drones can detect underwater volcanoes at depths of more than 5 kilometers? The Nexus project was a true revolution in the exploration of the depths of the Indian Ocean. It didn't just aim to study the ocean depths, but sought to unravel the mysteries that had remained hidden for centuries.
This initiative began its mission to study areas of the ocean floor where the depth exceeds 200 meters, using manned submersibles and drones in combination with advanced technologies.
For the first time in history, live broadcasts were conducted from such depths, allowing millions of viewers to observe the magnificent marine creatures in their natural habitat. Imagine, submersibles dive to depths where the pressure exceeds 30 atmospheres, while in real time the screen displays footage of colossal marine creatures and vibrant coral reefs that no human eye had ever seen before.
The discovery of new marine organisms was a breakthrough. Scientists found giant marine worms over a meter long and previously unknown bioluminescent jellyfish.
But that's not all. Mapping the ocean floor around the Seychelles and Maldives revealed areas that had never been studied before, allowing for the creation of detailed maps that could change our understanding of marine ecosystems. Over 100 new underwater landscapes were discovered, such as underwater canyons and unique geological formations, which could be crucial for understanding marine biology in the future. These studies not only deepen our knowledge of marine ecosystems, but also raise questions about the impact of human activity on these vulnerable areas.
For example, did you know that just 30 kilometers from the coast of the Maldives, reserves of rare minerals were found that could potentially be used in high-tech industries?
Underwater archaeology is a science that uncovers the world hidden beneath the water's surface, and it's more than just the study of sunken artifacts. Imagine a team of archaeologists working in conditions where water pressure reaches 30 atmospheres, and visibility may be less than 1 meter. They use specialized underwater vehicles that can dive to depths of 4,000 meters. These technologies allow them to explore sites where entire civilizations once thrived, now submerged due to changes in sea level. Did you know that in just the last 10 years, more than 30 new methods of seafloor scanning have been developed?
These methods include the use of multi-beam echo sounders and underwater drones, which enable the creation of three-dimensional maps of submerged objects.
But that's not all. Sometimes archaeologists work in conditions where water temperature drops to 0 degrees Celsius, and their task is to preserve finds from the destructive effects of salt and microorganisms. In such situations, researchers apply special anti-corrosion coatings that can extend the life of discovered items by decades.
One of the most challenging tasks for underwater archaeologists is extracting fragile artifacts like ceramics from the seafloor.
They develop unique methods to minimize damage, using, for example, specialized underwater manipulators that can precisely capture and lift finds. And imagine archaeologists bringing to the surface entire ships that sank centuries ago, where each detail can tell a story. But did you know that in some parts of the world, underwater archaeologists work in conditions of strong underwater currents that can reach speeds of 10 kilometers per hour? They use special counterweights and rope systems to stay in place during work. And here's the most amazing part. Underwater archaeologists can retrieve artifacts from depths that were previously inaccessible even to the most advanced technologies just a few decades ago. For example, some of them can work at depths of up to 100 meters using helium-containing breathing mixtures to avoid narcosis. This science requires not only physical fitness but also a high level of technical expertise. Archaeologists must be prepared for any unexpected events that may occur at depth. Underwater archaeology doesn't just study sunken ships and artifacts. It opens new horizons for understanding human history and cultural heritage that has been submerged underwater. And by the way, did you know that in some countries, underwater archaeology is considered an important part of national security? The methods of dating underwater archaeological finds are highly complex, but they open up fascinating horizons in understanding history.
For instance, radiocarbon analysis can determine the age of organic materials such as wood or textiles with an accuracy of up to 20,000 years.
Scientists use carbon-14, which is formed in the atmosphere and enters living organisms, and its concentration decreases after death. For dating wood found on sunken ships, dendrochronology is actively used. Each year of a tree's growth leaves distinctive rings, and by analyzing them, the exact age of the structures can be determined. However, this is not the only method. Ceramics and coins found on the seabed require different approaches. For ceramics, scientists use stylistics and manufacturing technology to determine when and where it was produced.
In the case of coins, their unique signs and symbols help link the finds to specific historical events, such as the reign of a particular ruler.
However, the underwater environment presents numerous challenges. Salty water, pressure, and lack of light can distort data, making the work of archaeologists more difficult. For example, over time, the marine environment can cause corrosion of metals and the destruction of organic materials, making some finds difficult to analyze. To overcome these distortions, archaeologists use conservation methods such as freezing or using special gels that help preserve samples in their original state.
Did you know that with proper conservation, wood can remain intact for hundreds of years, even if it was on the ocean floor? Such technologies not only protect finds but also preserve them for future research.
For example, the study of a sunken ship in the Baltic Sea showed that wooden parts were preserved due to cold water and low oxygen levels, which slowed down decay. This discovery was a breakthrough in the study of marine archaeological objects.
Each new fact that is established raises new questions. What did these ships actually look like? How do these finds relate to other historical events? Conservation of artifacts recovered from the seabed is a true science, filled with complex and sometimes incredible technologies. For instance, when dealing with wooden elements, the primary method involves the use of polyethylene glycol.
This polymer penetrates the wood structure, replacing water and preventing further deterioration. The process can take several years, as wooden objects such as the remains of the Vasa ship require thorough stabilization to maintain their shape and texture.
Initially, wooden parts are placed in a special polyethylene glycol solution, which gradually penetrates the wood pores, and then the artifact is dried in controlled conditions to prevent shrinkage and cracking.
However, this is not all. Metallic items require a completely different approach. Electrolytic treatment is a method where metallic artifacts are placed in a solution that allows them to regain their original appearance. This process involves applying an electric current that helps remove corrosion, restoring the metal to its original state. It is astonishing that this can take months, and sometimes even years depending on the extent of the damage. For ceramics and organic materials, unique technologies are applied. Ceramics found on the seabed often require special treatment to prevent further deterioration. Special solutions are used to restore their strength and prevent cracking.
Organic materials such as textiles or leather require an even more delicate approach. They are often placed in glycerol-based solutions to maintain their flexibility and prevent brittleness. The duration of these processes can be surprising. Some conservation works can take decades, as in the case of the Vasa ship, which was raised in 1983 and is still being conserved today. Each step requires maximum precision and attention, as even the slightest mistake can have catastrophic consequences for the artifact. And the most astonishing thing?
Each of these processes has its own secrets that are still being studied by scientists around the world. Underwater archaeology faces numerous legal and ethical challenges that require a deep understanding and careful approach. For instance, the UNESCO Convention of 2001 on the protection of the underwater cultural heritage marked an important step in safeguarding sunken objects. This document asserts that states have sovereign rights over cultural objects in their territorial waters and emphasizes the need to protect such objects from illegal extraction and trade. What is even more shocking? According to this convention, states are obligated to take measures to prevent the looting and destruction of underwater monuments that may contain unique historical evidence. Unfortunately, treasure hunters operating outside the law continue to pose a significant threat to submerged cultural heritage. They use modern technologies to locate and retrieve artifacts, putting not only the physical integrity of the finds but also their historical context at risk. These actions often result in valuable objects ending up on the black market, with their origin and cultural significance lost forever. History is full of examples where artifacts raised from the depths of the sea have become subjects of commercial trade, causing outrage among the scientific community and the public.
For example, the case of the Titanic, which sank in 1999, became a symbol of the struggle to protect cultural heritage when various companies began offering tourism services to view the sunken ship.
But that's not the strangest part. The removal of artifacts from their original context creates ethical dilemmas. On one hand, archaeologists aim to preserve and study historical finds, while on the other, the retrieval of objects can destroy their historical value.
For example, the lifting of ancient Greek amphoras found on the seabed may lead to the loss of information about how they were used and stored in their natural environment.
Therefore, the question arises, how to balance the interests of science and the preservation of cultural heritage with commercial interests. The UNESCO Convention calls for international cooperation and information exchange to develop effective protection strategies, but its implementation often remains at risk. And what's even more absurd? While some countries actively work on legal regulation, others ignore international norms, creating a legal vacuum and complicating the global protection of submerged heritage. In underwater archaeology, photogrammetry and 3D modeling have become a true revolution. Imagine being able to create a detailed digital copy of a sunken ship or artifact using just thousands of photos. The process begins with researchers taking numerous photographs from various angles, capturing the object from all sides. These images are then processed by specialized software that analyzes them and creates a 3D model with an accuracy of up to several millimeters. This technology is non-invasive. Archaeologists can study objects without touching them, which is particularly important for fragile finds that could be damaged by human contact. But that's not all.
Digital models allow for the preservation of the context of finds, enabling researchers to see how artifacts were positioned in their natural environment and even conduct virtual excavations without diving into the water.
Virtual museums built on such models provide access to sunken treasures for millions of people worldwide. This means that anyone with internet access can visit a sunken ship or ancient city without leaving their home. Furthermore, the resulting models offer the opportunity for deep scientific analysis. Researchers can study the details of a ship's construction or the characteristics of artifacts without the need for repeated dives, saving time and resources.
What's even more astonishing? The process of creating 3D models not only preserves data but also allows for the creation of animations that show how these objects looked in the past, for example, when they first sank or were in use.
Such technologies provide a completely new perspective on artifacts, revealing secrets that have been hidden underwater for centuries.
Oceanic depths conceal mysteries that even the most experienced scientists struggle to unravel. Scientific research indicates that over 90% of the oceans remain unexplored, creating a perfect environment for unexplained phenomena. Did you know that at great depths, where pressure exceeds 800 atmospheres, processes occur that we are barely aware of?
In these conditions, life takes on extraordinary forms. Deep-sea organisms such as giant squids can reach lengths of 18 meters, and their bioluminescent bodies create a phosphorescent atmosphere in the darkness. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, as the ocean depths harbor anomalous phenomena that warrant consideration.
For instance, in certain parts of the ocean, strange sounds are heard that cannot be identified. Their sources remain a mystery to researchers, and attempts to explain their nature lead to a wide range of hypotheses.
Imagine underwater volcanoes spewing hot geysers of minerals and gases at depths of several kilometers. They create conditions that can support unique ecosystems. Places like the Black Smokers are astonishing in their biosystems, where life thrives without sunlight, relying on chemosynthesis. And here arises the question, how have these organisms adapted to such extreme conditions? The ocean holds not only mysteries about life but also about geological processes occurring within its depths. For example, where continental plates collide, phenomena like underwater earthquakes can cause devastating tsunamis. What is even more intriguing is the existence of underwater canyons that can contain entire cities and mountains, but remain largely unexplored. Deep waters may hide artifacts from ancient civilizations that sank during catastrophes, and perhaps one day they will resurface to share their stories. How many more secrets are hidden beneath the water's surface? Half of the Earth remains unexplored, and each new expedition can bring unexpected discoveries. For instance, it is known that at depths exceeding 6 kilometers, water temperature can drop to 0 degrees Celsius, leading to shocking adaptations in the organisms that inhabit these areas.
Researchers continue to encounter inexplicable anomalies that challenge everything we know about the sea, and each new discovery raises even more questions. How many more secrets await revelation in these dark depths?
In 1997, hydrophones from NOAA recorded sounds that were thousands of times louder than the loudest animal on Earth, the blue whale. These sounds, known as bloop, became a mystery for scientists. Their unusual periodicity meant they were heard for extended periods, originating from the southeastern part of the Pacific Ocean, where depths exceed 3,000 meters. The sounds had a frequency of around 20 Hz, making them ultra-low frequency, and they traveled thousands of kilometers, allowing them to be detected by hydrophones at great distances. But what could have caused them?
Researchers propose several theories: unknown marine animals the size of giants, or processes occurring under the ice. Some scientists suggested it could be ice processes like calving glaciers that generate powerful sounds during their collapse.
Others wondered if it could be the result of seismic activity, such as earthquakes that can produce sounds of similar frequency. Now, imagine that none of these theories fully explain the bloop mystery.
In the 21st century, new questions emerged as advanced technologies allowed for deeper exploration of ocean depths. What's even more astonishing?
Scientists still can't agree on a single explanation, and some even suggest it could be related to human activity in the ocean.
With each new investigation, bloop becomes increasingly intriguing, hinting at the mysteries still hidden in the depths of the ocean.
Sailors have described for centuries a mysterious ocean glow known as Milky Sea. Imagine this, a dark night at sea, and suddenly the surface begins to glow with a milky white light, covering areas of hundreds of square kilometers. Some witnesses claim that this glow looks like moonlight reflecting off the water, creating a magical atmosphere. The 18th century saw the first recorded observations of this phenomenon in sailors' logs, with many captains noting their ships passing through these luminous regions. Scientists began to study this phenomenon, and it soon became clear that the main culprit behind this natural wonder is bioluminescent bacteria. These tiny organisms, such as Vibrio fischeri, emit light when stressed or under certain conditions, like when the water is agitated. What is truly remarkable is that research shows the glow intensifies at specific temperatures and salt concentrations in the water.
Recent satellite observations by NASA have made it possible to detect this bioluminescence from tens of thousands of kilometers above.
Satellites have found that Milky Sea is more common in tropical and subtropical waters, especially during the reproduction season of these bacteria, which can coincide with plankton blooms. What is even more astonishing is that in some cases, the area covered by the glow can reach up to 100,000 square kilometers, comparable to the size of a state. Scientists are still unable to precisely explain why the glow occurs on such a large scale, but the link to changes in the ecosystem caused by climate change is becoming increasingly interesting. This ocean enigma continues to captivate researchers, and each new fact about Milky Sea opens up new horizons for understanding the biosphere of our planet. The enigmatic Quakers have left behind a multitude of questions, for which there are still no clear answers. These underwater objects, detected by hydroacoustic equipment during the Cold War, became a true puzzle for military and researchers. Imagine this, signals moving at speeds up to 200 knots, which translates to over 370 kilometers per hour. But that's not all. They can abruptly change direction, making their behavior completely unpredictable. The depth at which they are detected exceeds 500 meters, adding even more intrigue to this phenomenon. Submarine crews that encountered these signals were baffled. What was really happening underwater? The secrecy surrounding the Quakers has given rise to various theories. Some suggest they are unknown marine animals capable of generating such powerful echo signals, while others believe they are malfunctions in hydroacoustic equipment. However, some experts do not rule out the possibility of the existence of unidentified underwater objects that could explain these anomalies.
During research, several instances were recorded where Quaker signals coincided with the movement of submarines, causing military personnel to be on alert.
This phenomenon became a sensation, and each new piece of information about them only added fuel to the fire of intrigue. What's even more shocking? Some researchers claim that the detected signals could be a result of interaction with underwater geological formations, such as underwater volcanoes, or faults in the Earth's crust. This opens new horizons for understanding the underwater ecosystem and its mysteries. But even if these assumptions prove to be true, the nature of the Quakers will remain an unsolved mystery. These signals demonstrate such complexity and diversity that each new data analysis brings more questions than answers.
Just recently, there have been reports that some of these signals might be linked to the movement of underwater animals, such as squids or sharks. But how can animals that we can observe on the surface generate such powerful echo signals?
And here the real madness begins. Scientists believe that some species might use unique mechanisms for communication and navigation that are still not studied. Who knows? Perhaps there are creatures hidden in the depths of the ocean of which we are not even aware. Each new fact about the Quakers not only lifts the veil of mystery but also makes us ponder what else might be hidden in the dark depths of our oceans. Red tides are not just a spectacle but a genuine ecological disaster. Imagine millions of toxic algae reproducing faster than even the most aggressive bacteria turn water bodies a vibrant red. These algae, known as dinoflagellates, can thrive in conditions where nutrient levels in water are extremely high and temperatures reach 30 degrees Celsius. These are ideal conditions that are becoming increasingly common due to climate change and ocean pollution. But that's not all. Such outbreaks can occur due to excess nitrogen and phosphorus entering the water from agriculture and sewage. How do these affect marine ecosystems? These algae release toxins that not only kill fish, but also marine mammals like dolphins and seals. The toxicity level can reach 4,000 micrograms per litre, far exceeding safe limits. Local fishermen complain that after a red tide, their catch decreases by 80%, but that's not the end. These toxic blooms also have a negative impact on tourism. Imagine beaches once full of tourists becoming empty due to warnings about toxic water. This leads to economic losses in the millions as tourists choose other destinations for their holidays. And now, the most shocking part. According to scientists' projections, the frequency of red tides could increase by 30% by the middle of the next century. This means such natural disasters could become the norm, not the exception. And here's the most alarming part. Some types of algae that cause red tides can produce toxins that affect the human nervous system, causing symptoms from headaches to severe poisoning. What do you think this could mean for future generations? The ocean is not just an endless watery abyss, it is a vast and powerful force that can influence human consciousness. Imagine the waves, reaching heights of 10 meters, crashing against the rocks, creating a powerful roar that can be heard from several kilometers away. These sounds, like ancient incantations, can simultaneously evoke both awe and tranquility.
Did you know that the ocean covers more than 70% of the Earth's surface? This means it surrounds us everywhere, reminding us of its power and majesty.
As we stand on the shore, our gaze penetrates the endless blue, where the horizon merges with the sky, and we feel as if we are at the edge of the world. This is not just a visual effect. Research shows that the ocean's blue palette has a calming effect on the nervous system, slowing the heart rate. But that's not all.
Each time we inhale the salty air, we feel waves of energy coursing through our bodies, and this sensation is not coincidental.
The ocean contains 35,000 tons of salt per square kilometre, and this salt, entering our lungs, creates a sense of freshness and purification.
Now imagine standing face to face with a storm, with the wind howling and waves rising to the height of multi-story buildings. In that moment, a primal fear awakens within us.
This fear is not just an instinct for self-preservation, it is deeply rooted in our psyche, for our ancestors survived by respecting this force.
Interestingly, in ancient Greek mythology, the sea was associated with Poseidon, the god who was believed to control ocean waves and storms, highlighting his power and unpredictability.
And so, standing on the shore, our consciousness oscillates between admiration and trepidation. This irresistible attraction to the sea drives many of us to explore its depths, to uncover its secrets. Did you know that more than 30% of the ocean remains unexplored? It is like a vast white spot on the map, filled with mysteries and riddles waiting to be discovered. The ocean is not just water, it is a living entity, capable of embracing and consuming. Each drop carries a story that began millions of years ago and continues to this day. Every time we dive into its waters or simply gaze at its vast expanses, we connect with something much greater than ourselves, something that can change us forever.
Marine love, or thalassophilia, affects millions of people, and this feeling goes much deeper than just aesthetic enjoyment. Did you know that in some cultures the ocean is considered the source of life? This connection dates back to our evolutionary roots. Around 35 million years ago, our ancestors began to inhabit aquatic spaces, leading to the hypothesis of the aquatic ape. According to this theory, life near water shaped numerous unique adaptations that distinguish humans from other mammals.
But that's not all. Neurochemical processes in our brain are activated when we gaze at the calm sea. Studies show that looking at the ocean increases the level of serotonin, the happiness hormone, and reduces stress. Now imagine that the sound of waves alone can evoke a sense of calm and tranquility. Research shows that ocean sounds not only soothe but also improve cognitive functions.
But did you know that marine landscapes are often used in therapy to treat depression and anxiety disorders? Psychologists claim that contemplating the ocean can help people not only restore emotional balance, but also improve the quality of life.
Cultural expressions of this love for the sea can be seen in literature and art. For instance, Claude Monet's paintings, where the sea is depicted as a living entity, heralded an entire era in art, while the poetry of Pablo Neruda is filled with deep metaphors about love for the sea. What's even more astonishing, more than 30% of people worldwide experience a strong attraction to water and elements associated with it, making thalassophilia one of the most common forms of emotional attachment. Thalassophobia, an irrational fear of the ocean and deep waters, affects millions of people worldwide. Imagine standing on the shore and suddenly feeling a wave of panic at the sight of the vast expanse of water. This feeling is not arbitrary. Evolutionarily, our brains are programmed to protect us from potential threats, and deep waters are associated with uncertainty and danger. What's most shocking? According to statistics, around 30% of people experience at least mild discomfort when it comes to deep water spaces. This phobia can manifest in various ways, from mild unease to panic attacks, where even the thought of deep water can cause rapid heart rate and shortness of breath.
It's important to note that such reactions can be linked to genetic factors, as fear of water can be passed down through generations. For instance, studies show that children of parents with this phobia are more likely to develop it themselves. But that's not all. Thalassophobia often has its roots in childhood traumas, such as near-drowning experiences or close encounters with dangerous marine animals. Interestingly, this fear is not only reflected in real life but also in popular culture.
Films like Jaws, released in 1975, have terrified audiences with their tense plots, making many people afraid to swim even for a dip. This film set a new standard for the horror genre, and since then, fear of the sea has only intensified. Modern films like Blood Ocean continue to exploit this phobia, depicting horrors lurking beneath the surface. Therapeutic methods for overcoming thalassophobia range from cognitive behavioral therapy to exposure therapy, where the patient gradually confronts their fear. Some specialists use virtual reality to immerse patients in a controlled environment where they can learn to manage their fear. What's even more shocking, in some cases, overcoming this fear leads people to study the underwater world, becoming divers and oceanic researchers who once seemed inaccessible. Each of us can encounter this fear, and it has deep roots that we are only beginning to understand.
Standing at the edge of a cliff, have you ever felt a fleeting desire to jump? This phenomenon, known as the call of the abyss, can even affect the most mentally healthy individuals.
Studies show that more than 60% of people have experienced this thought at least once in their lives, and it's not just a random impulse. Complex neuropsychological mechanisms lie behind this reaction.
The right hemisphere of the brain, responsible for intuitive decisions and impulses, becomes active in moments of fear or anxiety, triggering this paradoxical call.
Why do we feel drawn to danger when we're at the edge of a precipice or near a deep body of water? The answer lies in high-functioning anxiety. Our brain, trying to assess risks, simultaneously engages an internal self-preservation mechanism, leading to the emergence of this strange desire.
Psychologists argue that this phenomenon is also linked to the search for intense experiences, as we try to feel emotions while in a safe state. But that's not all. Research shows that the call of the abyss may be less dangerous than it seems, as it often occurs in people with high levels of creativity and openness to new experiences. In literature about the sea, from Herman Melville to Joseph Conrad, this phenomenon is often depicted as a symbol of a person's struggle with their own demons. In Melville's Moby Dick, the main character, Captain Ahab, embodies this internal struggle as he tries to defeat the great white whale, which can be interpreted as a metaphor for the call of the abyss. Conrad in Art of Darkness uses the image of a river as a symbol of unexplored depths, evoking the same feelings of anxiety and attraction in the reader. Research shows that this phenomenon has long inspired artists and writers, encouraging them to explore the dark corners of human nature. What do you think happens in our consciousness when we stand at the edge and feel this call?
Most people don't realize that this reaction is not a sign of madness, but rather a reflection of the complex structure of our mind. It's interesting that neuroscientists have even begun to study how different parts of the brain activate in such moments, and the results are surprising. It turns out that activity in the area responsible for decision-making increases significantly.
But does this phenomenon have any benefits? Research shows that it can contribute to the creative process and even inspire new ideas. The question is, how can we use this knowledge in our lives?
What will be the next step in the study of this mysterious phenomenon? Seasickness of the mind. What is this strange state? Imagine spending a whole month on the boundless waters of the ocean, where every movement of the ship blends with the rhythm of the waves. No matter how many times you gaze at the horizon, your psyche begins to adapt to this constant motion. People who have experienced long voyages describe the feeling that the ground beneath them starts to sway, even when they stand on solid ground.
This phenomenon, known as seasickness of the mind, is mentioned by many sailors in their diaries. Research shows that such adaptation occurs due to the constant stimulation of the vestibular apparatus, which begins to perceive movement as normal. But what happens when they return to land? Their brain, accustomed to the swaying, encounters sudden stillness. Many sailors need time to readapt to the stable surface, and this process can be both physical and psychological. Historical records contain numerous accounts of sailors struggling to return to their ordinary lives. In letters and diaries, they describe feelings of disorientation and even anxiety when they reach the shore.
Modern neuropsychological studies confirm that people who have spent a long time at sea experience changes in their perception of space and time. They find it difficult to perceive ordinary things like movement in transportation and may feel uncomfortable in public places. Moreover, these people may develop a unique psychology connected to their way of life.
Some researchers note that sailors develop a unique type of thinking, where instincts and intuition play a crucial role. This is due to the constant risks they take in open waters. Did you know that even a simple change in weather can cause stress for them? People who live on the border between sea and land develop the ability to predict changes based on years of experience.
Their perception of the world becomes more subtle and sensitive, sometimes leading to paradoxical situations. They may feel better in stormy conditions than on calm water. This unusual adaptation becomes part of their identity, and for many, returning to the familiar world is not just a move, but a challenge. Interestingly, among sailors, there is a belief that they lose a part of themselves when they leave the ship. What is even more astonishing, studies show that some people who return from the sea experience changes in the structure of their brain related to prolonged exposure to constant movement. They may struggle with concentration and even decision-making. Therefore, life at sea forms not only a physical, but also a psychological state that remains with them forever. The ocean is not merely a vast body of water, but a deep, mythological symbol that has permeated human consciousness for millennia. Imagine each wave carrying tales of life and death, beginnings and endings. The water filling the oceans is considered the source of life, where the first forms of life on the planet emerged. According to some data, 30,000 years ago, as the first humans began to settle the coasts, the ocean became a place where destinies and opportunities intersected.
But this is not all. For many traditions, the ocean is the boundary beyond which lie unexplored worlds filled with wonders and dangers. Myths claim that the ocean's depths hide secrets that can alter a person's fate.
The watery depths are teeming with beings often depicted as deities or spirits, guarding their territories from unwelcome visitors. These creatures, aside from symbolizing chaos, also embody the forces of nature that can bestow life or take it away. For instance, consider a powerful current that drags everything in its path into its abyss, a symbol of the ocean's unpredictability and power. In some myths, the ocean is portrayed as an endless abyss from which monsters emerge, instilling fear and horror, yet it is also a source of inspiration for those seeking adventure. This dual nature of the ocean makes it a central element in myths, it can be both a blessing and a curse. The water lapping at the shores becomes the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead, a place where souls can cross this watery barrier to find peace or remain in eternal wandering. In this context, the ocean is not just a backdrop but an active participant in myths that contain cultural codes and knowledge passed down through generations. It is worth noting that the ocean holds a special place in human psychology, evoking both awe and trepidation. This power and vastness of water inspire legends of underwater cities and submerged civilizations that, according to rumors, may still be found beneath the waves. Furthermore, the ocean serves not only as a boundary between worlds but also as a meeting place for various cultures and ideas, as it was in ancient times when trade routes crisscrossed watery expanses. Thus, one can say that the ocean not only embodies life and chaos but also serves as a living witness to human history, with each drop of water carrying a memory of the past.
Did you know that, according to scientists, more than 90% of the oceans remain unexplored?
Poseidon, the god of seas and oceans, possessed a trident that was not just his symbol but also a powerful weapon capable of causing earthquakes and storms at sea. This trident, approximately 5 meters long, was adorned with golden details and served him to control the water elements.
Riding a chariot drawn by hippocamps, mythical seahorses with fish tails and horse bodies, he dashed across the waves, much like a modern superhero, inspiring fear and respect in all who dared to challenge him.
His character was contradictory. On one hand, he could be generous and caring towards those who worshipped him, and on the other, he could be explosive and vengeful towards those who dared to insult him. For instance, in the myth of Nike and Poseidon, he was ready to fight with Athena for patronage over Athens, and his wrath led to the city being punished with drought. His relationships with other gods, especially with Zeus, were complex, as he, one of the 3 main Olympian gods, often clashed with him over power in the world. In culture, Poseidon had numerous cult centers, including Corinth and Delos, where he was revered with great pomp, conducting rituals to appease his wrath and ensure good luck at sea.
Did you know that in ancient Rome he was known as Neptune and symbolized not only the sea element but also the sources of fresh water? His cult evolved over the centuries, and in the Renaissance his image became associated with art and wisdom. In art, Neptune was depicted with a trident, and his statues adorned fountains in the most beautiful cities of Europe. Look at the Trevi Fountain in Rome. There he is depicted surrounded by marine creatures, emphasizing his connection to water.
And what is even more intriguing, in some myths it is claimed that he could control the land, making him one of the most powerful and multifaceted gods of antiquity.
Ryujin, the Japanese sea deity, is often depicted as a majestic dragon ruling over the underwater palace known as Ryogujo.
According to legends, this palace is adorned with vibrant corals and gleaming pearls, and Ryujin's pearl is said to be the source of power that controls the tides. Imagine each wave crashing onto the shore as if it obeys this deity, and his precious pearl shimmers in the depths of the ocean. Myths tell of Ryujin's daughters who often marry mortals, bestowing on them not only beauty but also extraordinary abilities. For instance, one of his daughters, named Tadzimasu, is considered the patroness of fishermen, and her marriage to a human brings good fortune in fishing. What is truly astonishing is that Ryujin's son-in-law, according to the legends, could control sea storms and calm the raging sea with just a word.
Practices of worshipping this deity are widespread among fishermen and sailors who perform rituals in hope of his favor.
In some coastal villages, altars adorned with miniature dragons and pearls can still be seen, where offerings of rice, fish, and even sake are brought to appease Ryujin before setting sail. In art and literature, Ryujin takes form not only in traditional Japanese woodblock prints but also in modern animated films, where his image combines elements of mythology and contemporary aesthetics. In these works, he is often depicted with vibrant scales that shimmer in the light, creating a sense of magic and grandeur. One of the most famous legends tells of how Ryujin appeared before the emperor to assist him in his struggle against enemies, providing him with a magical sword forged from sea waves. Remarkably, this sword was said to be able to cut through even the toughest armor, and its blade reflected light like a mirror. Once, in a time of great need, the emperor threw the sword into the sea, and according to the legend, Ryujin took it back to protect the ocean realms.
Thus, Ryujin became not just a deity but a guardian of the world and harmony between people and the ocean. His image lives on in legends and folk tales, passed down through generations, making us wonder, what is it like to be the ruler of the seas? Tangaroa, the Polynesian god of the ocean, holds a central place in the cosmogonic myths of numerous islands in the Pacific Ocean.
He is revered as the creator of the seas and all marine creatures, and his power and influence are recognized even on the most remote atolls. On the islands of Samoa, he is considered one of the first gods to emerge from chaos, while on Tonga, His origin is linked to the myth of his rising from the Earth's depths to create the ocean, thereby separating heaven and earth. On Hawaii, Tangaroa is known as Kanaloa, and he is depicted as a god who rules the sea and is also the guardian of secret knowledge about navigation.
Remarkably, in some legends he opposes Tain, the god of forests, in a struggle for control over nature. Tangaroa desires the seas to be full of life, while Tain aims to adorn the earth with green forests.
The conflict between them symbolizes the eternal struggle between water and land, and this opposition forms the basis of many Polynesian legends. There are numerous rituals dedicated to Tangaroa, including incantations that fishermen recite before setting sail. These ceremonies are intended to appease the god and gain his blessing for a bountiful catch. Additionally, there are strict taboos on certain types of fish, which are considered sacred and not to be caught. For example, on some islands, it is forbidden to catch reef sharks as they are considered embodiments of Tangaroa's spirit. This underscores the importance of respecting nature and the resources that sustain the lives of Polynesian peoples. Tangaroa is not only the god of fishing but also a symbol of navigation.
His veneration is connected to navigation, where stars serve as guides for Polynesians venturing into the open sea. Legends say that Tangaroa himself taught people the art of navigation, showing them how to read signs in the water and stars.
The significance of Tangaroa in the culture of the peoples of the Pacific Ocean cannot be overstated. His image inspires the creation of art, music, and dance that convey respect for the ocean and its mysteries. For instance, in dances, marine creatures are often depicted, while songs tell of sailors following the stars. And the most remarkable thing?
Tangaroa is not only the god of the ocean but also the protector of all those who travel by sea, and his influence can be felt even in the modern maritime traditions of Polynesians.
Amid the depths of the ocean lies the palace of Egiar, the sea giant, who inspires both fear and respect. Imagine a hall with a ceiling adorned with self-luminous golden objects that gleam like stars in the night sky.
Egiar, majestic and powerful, hosts a feast for the gods where the sound of waves accompanies songs of maritime adventures and heroic deeds. But who is his wife, Ran?
She embodies the very essence of the sea, embracing those who drown in her embrace. What is most terrifying? Ran has a net with which she ensnares unfortunate sailors who cannot tame the ocean's wrath, and their fate remains in her hands forever. Egiar and Ran, like two sides of a coin, represent the dual nature of the sea, generous and life-giving, yet also deadly and unforgiving. Their 9 daughters, each with her own name and character, dance upon the ocean's surface, creating waves that can either soothe or devastate. Each of these waves possesses a unique power. One can bring calm, while another can unleash a storm from which there is no escape. In this underwater realm of Egiar and Ran, their feasts are not merely banquets, but rituals where gods discuss the fates of humans and the mysteries of the sea. Every item on the table, from self-luminous cups to golden utensils, holds its own significance and history. Egiar, as the protector of the sea, shares his knowledge with the gods, showing them the importance of respecting the elements. Yet, what is truly remarkable, despite his immense power and majesty, Egiar knows that the sea can be both a friend and an enemy. This atmosphere immerses us in ancient myths where the sea is not just water but a living entity with its own will and character. Even in our time, many sailors refer to Egiar and Ran as symbols, reminding us that the sea is not just a path but a complex and multifaceted world that demands respect and caution. When we look at the waves, can we see the images of Ran's 9 daughters? The ocean is not merely an expansive body of water, but a powerful symbol that permeates literature and art across all epochs and cultures, imbuing them with depth and ambiguity.
Each time an artist touches their brush to water, they not only capture colour and movement but also create a bridge between the real and the imagined, between humanity and the vast expanse of space.
Did you know that approximately 70% of Earth's surface is covered by oceans? This immense space has always drawn people, igniting in them a desire for adventure and discovery. The ocean has become a metaphor for inner exploration, where waves symbolize emotional storms and tranquil waters represent peace and harmony. This contrast inspires composers to create music that reflects both joy and sorrow, much like the rhythm of the tide can create a melody that captivates the listener. The ocean also serves as a backdrop for numerous stories of travel and discovery, having witnessed countless events from great naval battles to romantic encounters on the horizon. Its boundless expanses seem like the perfect place for contemplation about human nature and aspirations, for who among us has not pondered what lies beneath its surface? The depths of the ocean are filled with mysteries, from enigmatic creatures to sunken ships that preserve the stories of lost civilizations. How many more secrets do the oceans hold, remaining inaccessible to humans? In every culture, the ocean becomes a place where dreams and reality intersect, where hopes and fears are symbolized. For instance, in some traditions, sea gods embody strength and destruction, while in others they are associated with protection and prosperity, highlighting the diversity of perception of this element in different corners of the world. The ocean can be both a friend and a foe, making it a constant subject of study and inspiration. Its elusive and changeable nature reflects the complexity and contradictions of human nature. Imagine how artists, writers, and composers from different parts of the globe use the ocean as a source of inspiration, creating works that touch the hearts and minds of people.
Did you know that some of the most famous paintings and musical compositions were created under the influence of the ocean? Each brushstroke or note that resonates with the sound of the waves becomes a part of the eternal dialogue between humanity and nature.
The ocean, with its endless possibilities and profound mysteries, will always remain an inexhaustible source of inspiration, stirring in us the desire to explore and understand its true essence. Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick is not merely a story about whalers, it is a profound exploration of human nature and our place in the world, where the sea becomes a symbol of the unknowable.
The white whale, Moby Dick, represents not only nature but also the all-consuming obsession of Captain Ahab, who pursues him in his mad quest for revenge.
This whale, possessing not just physical strength but also a mystical allure, becomes for Ahab a reflection of his own demons. Did you know that Melville filled the novel with encyclopedic information about the whaling industry?
Each chapter can be seen as a separate study that immerses the reader in the details of whale hunting, their biology and ecology. For instance, descriptions of various whale species, their habits and methods of capture evoke interest and wonder, as if one were taking a lesson in marine science. But that's not all. In Moby Dick, Melville raises philosophical questions about the nature of humanity confronted with the grandeur and unpredictability of the ocean.
Questions about life, death, fate, and free will intertwine with the actions of the characters, compelling the reader to reflect on their own choices and consequences. For example, how far is a person willing to go in pursuit of their goals?
Ahab, driven by the desire to destroy the white whale, becomes a symbol of humanity's struggle with nature, and his tragic fate makes one ponder the price we are willing to pay for our ambitions.
This obsession, in turn, reflects a broader theme of conflict between humanity and the elements, raising the question, can a person triumph over something that surpasses them? Moby Dick has had a profound impact on literature and culture, inspiring authors such as F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway. Since its publication in 1851, the novel has become a classic, studied in schools and universities.
Its symbolism and complexity continue to attract new readers, posing questions about life and humanity's place in the world. Did you know that Moby Dick also contains numerous allusions to biblical and mythological themes, adding depth and ambiguity to the work?
These aspects only underscore the eternal themes that Melville explores in his work, leaving the reader with questions that have no definitive answers. William Turner's marine-themed paintings represent a true revolution in the depiction of the elements.
His works, such as Sunlight, Sea and Ships and The Battle of Trafalgar, are not only striking in their realism, but also in their ability to convey the atmosphere and emotions that were previously inaccessible to painting.
Turner blurs the lines between realism and abstraction, creating paintings where the sea becomes a living entity, full of dynamism and movement. He employs a unique technique of applying colours, allowing light to penetrate the canvas and reflect off the water's surface, as seen in his work The Stormy Sea. Here, the viewer can feel the fury of the waves and the wrath of the sky, thanks to the use of vibrant and contrasting colours. In The Shipwreck, Turner masterfully demonstrates the power of the sea to destroy everything in its path, while also conveying the horror and tragedy of the moment. His attention to detail, such as the remnants of masts and splashes of water, makes the viewer feel like a part of the scene.
Turner also pioneered the depiction of light using the technique of chiaroscuro, where bright areas contrast with deep shadows, creating an illusion of depth.
These methods had a profound influence on the development of Impressionism, as artists like Claude Monet and Edgar Degas drew inspiration from his bold experiments with colour and light.
In his works, Turner's deep emotionality is evident. For example, in The Last Voyage of the Titan, he conveys not only the physical power of the sea but also the inner struggle of the human, placing the viewer face to face with the grandeur and cruelty of nature.
His paintings seem to compel us to ask, what is it like to be on the edge of life and death in the embrace of a raging ocean? These works do not merely reflect the marine element, they become a part of it, allowing the viewer to understand its power and beauty more deeply.
Turner left his mark on the history of art, and his influence can still be felt in the works of contemporary artists who continue to explore the boundaries of marine painting and its interaction with the world around it.
For instance, his painting Rain, Steam and Speed was one of the first examples of using light and atmosphere to convey emotions, which became a foundational element for future artistic movements. Claude Debussy's Symphonic Suite The Sea, composed in 1913, is a remarkable example of impressionistic music that seeks to convey the sensations and images of the sea.
The structure of this work is divided into 3 parts: From Dawn to Noon on the Sea, The Play of Waves, and Dialogue between Wind and Sea. The first part immerses the listener in the atmosphere of a morning symphony, where musical themes like sunbeams pierce through the morning mist. Debussy employs complex harmonies and modulations to create the effect of nature slowly awakening, while the sounds of string instruments evoke the freshness of a gentle breeze. In the second part, The Play of Waves, the composer masterfully captures the movement and dynamism of the waves.
Here, the orchestra uses ostinato to depict the continuous oscillation of water, while percussion instruments add rhythmic pulsation, as if the sea is crashing against the rocks. The sound textures change, creating a sense of lightness and heaviness, reminiscent of waves rolling in and out, leaving behind a trail of foam.
In this section, Debussy employs unusual techniques such as harmonic dissonances and polyphony, giving the music a sense of depth and multi-layered complexity.
The concluding part, Dialogue between Wind and Sea, reveals the contrast between the calm of the sea and the fury of the elements. Here, Debussy uses abrupt dynamic changes on wide intervals to convey the power of the wind interacting with the water's surface. The instrumentation becomes particularly vivid. Flutes and clarinets create melodic lines like winds sweeping over the sea, while brass instruments add power and majesty. This dialogue between wind and sea becomes the climax of the suite, underscoring the interconnectedness of these two majestic forces of nature. The creation history of the sea is also filled with intriguing details. Debussy worked on the piece, inspired by his own travels along the French coast, which is reflected in his desire to convey not only sounds but also visual images.
The influence of this work on 20th century music is difficult to overestimate. It became a model for many composers who sought to use music as a means of expressing emotions and images, rather than just a system of strict forms and structures.
The works of composers such as Martin, Stravinsky, and even contemporaries of Debussy were greatly inspired by his innovative approaches.
In the sea, Debussy succeeded in creating a musical language that continues to captivate and inspire listeners to this day, making them ponder the grandeur and beauty of nature.
In Japanese ukiyo-e prints, the ocean is depicted with extraordinary beauty and dynamism, particularly in the works of masters Katsushika Hokusai and Utagawa Hiroshige. Hokusai, in his renowned series 36 Views of Mount Fuji, created one of the most iconic images of the sea, the Great Wave off Kanagawa. This print, published in 1833, is remarkable not only for the size of the wave, which seems ready to engulf everything in its path, but also for the subtle nuances that give the water life.
Here, water is not just an element of nature, it embodies power and might, as well as constant movement and change. While Mount Fuji, majestic and unchanging, serves as a symbol of constancy and reliability. Hiroshige, on the other hand, paid special attention to scenes with the sea, including magnificent landscapes where water and sky merge in unforgettable colors, creating a sense of infinity. His work, The Tokyo Bay Bridge, conveys the extraordinary calm of the water's surface, on which clouds are reflected, while boats, as tiny specks, add movement to the scene.
The technical techniques used in ukiyo-e included complex, multi-layered printing, which allowed for vibrant and saturated colors, 3 layers for creating various shades of blue and green, making the water almost tangible. The symbolic significance of the sea in Japanese aesthetics is linked to the notion that it is a source of life and simultaneously a threat, making it a center of spiritual contemplation. These works had a profound influence on European art, especially in the 19th century when artists such as Vincent van Gogh and Claude Monet were inspired by Japanese prints. They began to use similar techniques to convey the light and color of their landscapes, marking a turning point in the history of art. And the most amazing thing?
The influence of these images continues to be felt in contemporary visual culture, where elements of ukiyo-e can be seen in animation, design, and even fashion.
The ocean covers more than 70% of our planet's surface, and it's not just a vast expanse of water. It's a colossal world teeming with mysteries and enigmas waiting to be revealed. Imagine, beneath the water's surface lie mountain ranges taller than the Himalayas, and deep trenches like the Mariana Trench, reaching depths of 10,900 meters. Yes, it's incredible, but only a small fraction of the ocean has been explored using modern technologies. What's even more astonishing, about 95% of all Earth's living organisms inhabit the oceans, and the majority of them remain undiscovered by science. These creatures range from tiny microorganisms to giant squids that can reach lengths of 30 meters.
But here's the catch. The ocean is not just a home for these extraordinary inhabitants, it also plays a crucial role in global climate. For instance, oceans absorb more than 30% of the carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere and provide half of the oxygen we breathe. However, each year, rising water temperatures and increasing pollution threaten this delicate balance.
How can we study and protect this last great frontier? A multidisciplinary approach has become essential. Oceanography, ecology, biology, and even artificial intelligence technologies are uniting to tackle challenges that seem insurmountable. In this context, underwater drone technologies are a true breakthrough, enabling the exploration of inaccessible depths without risk to human life. And here's what's even more shocking. In some ocean regions, such as the area around the Black Sea and the Pacific Ocean, no human foot has ever set foot, and we can only speculate about the secrets they hold.
Each new discovery opens up new horizons, and every finding helps us understand how we can better care for our blue home.
The ocean is a living laboratory where every drop of water contains information, and within it lie the answers to the future of our entire planet. But what will happen if we don't change our habits and start taking care of what surrounds us? The Argo project is a vast network consisting of 4,000 autonomous floating buoys operating at depths up to 2,000 meters. These buoy devices, the size of a small barrel, periodically dive and resurface, collecting data on ocean temperature, salinity, and current speeds. Every 10 days, a buoy surfaces to transmit data via satellite before diving back to continue data collection. This results in a continuous stream of data covering all the oceans of the Earth, providing scientists with a unique opportunity to monitor climate and ocean circulation changes.
What's remarkable is that Argo doesn't just record current parameters. The buoy network helps model future ocean states, which is critically important for predicting climate changes. Each buoy can measure oxygen levels, carbon dioxide, and even chlorophyll concentrations, allowing scientists to study ocean biological activity and its role in global ecosystems.
The contribution of the Argo project to understanding climate change is invaluable. It has provided access to data that was previously unavailable, marking a breakthrough in oceanography.
Argo data is freely available to researchers worldwide, facilitating collaboration and information exchange, which accelerates scientific discoveries. But that's not all. Argo helps scientists understand how oceans absorb carbon and its implications for climate change. For instance, changes in ocean temperature affect weather patterns, rainfall cycles, and even sea levels. Each buoy in the Argo project collects data that contributes to more accurate climate models, which are crucial for developing strategies to combat the consequences of climate change. And what's even more fascinating?
Argo continues to evolve, incorporating new technologies and improving data collection methods, enabling scientists to obtain even more precise and useful information about the state of our oceans and their role in the global ecosystem. The Seabed 2030 project is indeed an ambitious endeavour, aiming to fully map the ocean floor by the year 2030. As of 2022, approximately 20% of the ocean floor has been covered, highlighting the magnitude of the task. To achieve this goal, a variety of technologies are employed, including multi-beam echo sounding, which provides highly accurate data on the seabed's topography. This method involves sending sound waves into the water and analyzing their reflections to create detailed maps of the ocean floor with high resolution. However, this is not the most remarkable aspect. The project is actively supported by international cooperation, involving over 100 countries, which underscores the global significance of this work. What is also noteworthy is that data collection involves not only research vessels but also commercial ships and yachts, which can contribute their data to the project. This collaboration significantly increases the volume of collected information and accelerates the mapping process. So why is all this necessary? Primarily for improving navigation and the safety of maritime transportation.
Complete maps of the ocean floor will help avoid collisions with underwater reefs and other hazards, as well as simplify the laying of underwater cables and pipelines.
Additionally, understanding the structure of the ocean floor is crucial for studying geological processes such as earthquakes and volcanic activity. But there is another aspect. A map of the ocean floor is essential for protecting marine ecosystems. Knowing where the vulnerable areas are, scientists and environmental organizations can better plan and implement measures to protect these regions. And the most astonishing fact? Around 90% of the ocean floor remains unexplored and unmapped.
Everyone is familiar with deep-sea ecosystems, but do you know that the true oases of life were only discovered in 1977?
At that time, a group of scientists from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration of the United States found hydrothermal vents on the floor of the Pacific Ocean, and this discovery revolutionized our understanding of life on Earth. These vents are essentially underwater volcanoes that spew hot geysers, releasing minerals and toxic gases such as hydrogen sulfide at temperatures up to 300 degrees Celsius.
What is astonishing is that in these extreme conditions, numerous organisms thrive, completely independent of sunlight. They use a process called chemosynthesis to convert chemical energy from hydrogen sulfide into nutrients. Imagine bacteria, smaller than a pinhead, feeding on toxins and creating ecosystems inhabited by giant tube worms, worms, and mollusks as large as a human hand.
But that's not all. These organisms are extremophiles, meaning they have adapted to live in conditions that would be fatal to most forms of life on Earth. Around these hydrothermal vents, true communities form that depend on these unique bacteria, and they are key to understanding the origins of life on our planet.
Studies of these ecosystems allow scientists to look back in time, exploring how life might have emerged on Earth, and open new horizons for the search for life on other planets. For example, on Jupiter's moons like Europa, scientists hypothesize that subsurface oceans could contain similar conditions where life could exist through chemosynthetic processes.
And what is truly intriguing, on the ocean floor, numerous new species have been found that are not found anywhere else, raising the question, how many more unknown forms of life await discovery in the depths of the ocean? Currently, oceans absorb approximately 30% of the carbon dioxide released by humans, leading to significant changes in their chemical composition. Imagine that the pH of seawater has decreased from 8.1 to 7.8 over the past 150 years, making the water more acidic. But did you know that this process, known as ocean acidification, has devastating consequences for marine organisms? Calcium shells of mollusks like oysters and mussels begin to dissolve when the pH drops below 8, and it gets even more alarming. Coral reefs, which are home to more than a quarter of all marine species, cannot build their skeletons from calcium carbonate, leading to their weakening and death. This is not just a problem for the corals themselves. Entire ecosystems that depend on these reefs are at risk. Studies suggest that by the year 2050, corals could lose up to 90% of their populations if carbon dioxide levels continue to rise.
But that's not all. Ocean acidification disrupts food chains, as small organisms like phytoplankton become less resilient to changes, which in turn affects larger predators like fish and marine mammals.
Scientists are already developing methods to monitor this process, including the use of specialized equipment to measure pH and carbon dioxide concentrations in water. For example, autonomous underwater vehicles are used in oceanographic stations worldwide to collect data and predict how acidification will impact biodiversity. But what's even more shocking? This is not just a problem for marine ecosystems. Ocean acidification can also affect global climate, as oceans play a crucial role in regulating Earth's temperature.
Note that in some regions, the carbon dioxide concentration in water can reach 12 milligrams per litre, which is far above normal. The question is, how much time do we have left before these changes become irreversible?
The study of oceans is entering an era of genuine revolution, where traditional methods are giving way to innovative approaches capable of unraveling the mysteries of the deep. Imagine that each research expedition involves a team of scientists from different countries, uniting to tackle a single global challenge: preserving marine ecosystems.
These scientists, including biologists, physicists, and climatologists, create unified research platforms that enable real-time data exchange.
Did you know that more than 70% of Earth's surface is covered by oceans, and it is there that resources lie hidden, which could save humanity from climate catastrophes? Oceanographers have long understood that studying seas and oceans is not just a science but a matter of survival.
In the future, oceanography will not only involve collecting water samples and examining the seafloor, but also creating complex models that predict the consequences of climate change. Did you know that the temperature of ocean waters has risen by 1 degree Celsius over the past century? This change is already affecting the migration of marine species and destroying coral reefs. Research will focus on using big data and artificial intelligence to analyze complex ecosystems and predict changes. But that's not all. International joint projects will be aimed at monitoring pollution and its consequences, as more than 18,000 tons of plastic enter the oceans every minute.
Scientists will use biomarkers to track the health of oceans and find ways to restore damaged ecosystems. Now imagine that every drop of ocean water contains information about the state of the entire planet. This new era will require not only scientific knowledge but also active societal involvement, as each of us plays a role in preserving marine resources.
Research will cover not only physical and biological aspects but also socio-cultural ones, as life underwater is directly linked to the fate of billions of people.
For example, more than 1.5 billion people depend on fishing as their primary source of food and income. In this context, it is important to remember that every discovery, every breakthrough can lead to revolutionary changes in our understanding of oceans. Did you know that every minute of research vessel operations brings new data on ecosystems that could exist in previously unimaginable conditions?
With new methods of marine research, we will be able to discover even more amazing forms of life, which can not only expand our knowledge of biodiversity but also provide keys to developing new medical treatments. Underwater research will become true laboratories where scientists will unravel the mysteries of nature and seek solutions for future generations. How many more secrets do you think the oceans hide?
Artificial intelligence and machine learning are already transforming the approach to oceanography, and this is just the beginning. Imagine that every year, trillions of data points are collected from underwater sensors. But how can we handle this?
With the help of machine learning algorithms that can analyze these vast amounts of information in just minutes. For instance, deep learning networks can process data from video cameras to identify marine species using images and sounds. Did you know that in the 20th century, scientists identified only about 30% of marine species? Today, thanks to AI, this process is accelerating, and researchers can now classify hundreds of thousands of images in a day.
This is not just about numbers. These technologies enable scientists to quickly respond to changes in ecosystems and track the populations of endangered species. Now imagine how these technologies help model oceanic processes. Using complex mathematical models based on machine learning, we can predict how marine currents and water temperature will change under the influence of climate change. This allows us not only to better understand the dynamics of the oceans but also to predict the consequences for coastal ecosystems. But that's not all. Artificial intelligence can also be used for weather forecasting. For example, modern models based on AI already provide more accurate forecasts than traditional methods. Did you know that the accuracy of forecasts can increase by 30%? This means we can prepare in advance for natural disasters and minimize their impact on people and ecosystems. And now comes the really amazing part, the automation of managing underwater research vehicles. Imagine that AI-equipped underwater drones can independently explore inaccessible parts of the ocean, collecting data and transmitting it in real time. These vehicles can adapt to the conditions of their surroundings, adjusting their course and depth of immersion. For example, in 2020 the Ocean Infinity project launched, where underwater drones explored the ocean floor, collecting data on marine ecosystems and finding sunken ships, using machine learning to process the collected information. And now, imagine scaling this up to the entire planet. This opens up new horizons in ocean research, and we are only beginning to realize how powerful an instrument artificial intelligence can be in the hands of scientists. Imagine this. The digital twin of the ocean is not just a model, but a true computer universe where every tide and ebb, every current and water temperature are reproduced with remarkable accuracy.
The European project Destination Earth, launched in the 21st century, aims to create such a model using data from various sources: satellites, drifting buoys, underwater sensors, and even meteorological stations.
Now consider this. How can all these data be integrated into a single platform to get a complete picture of the state of the oceans? This is what the project does, combining information about temperature, salinity, oxygen levels, and even ecosystems. The modeling becomes so detailed that it allows for the prediction of local phenomena, such as the appearance of red algae which can threaten marine organisms and local economies.
But that's not all. This model also enables the analysis of global processes, such as how climate change affects major ocean currents. What's even more astonishing, with the help of the digital twin, it is possible to effectively manage fish resources, determining in advance where and when it is best to conduct fishing expeditions, based on data on fish migration and the state of ecosystems.
This means that fishermen can not only increase their catches but also minimize the impact on vulnerable species, and this significantly reduces the risk of depletion. And what about natural disasters?
Models can predict floods and hurricanes, allowing governments and rescue services to prepare in advance for catastrophes and minimize damage. Thanks to the integration of all data into a single system, it becomes possible not only to react to threats but also to plan maritime activities, including tourism and cargo transportation, taking into account all factors.
This is a revolution in the approach to managing oceans and coastal zones. And the most amazing thing? All this information is available in real time, allowing institutions and researchers to adapt to rapidly changing conditions. The digital twin of the ocean is not just a dream of scientists, but a reality that can change our understanding of marine ecosystems and their future. Imagine underwater drones moving as gracefully as fish in the ocean. These devices, inspired by marine creatures, represent a breakthrough in technology for monitoring and research.
For instance, the development of a robotic fish called SmartFish by a team of scientists from Stanford University allows for the exploration of underwater ecosystems with agility that traditional submersibles can only dream of.
Smartfish, the size of a regular fish, can reach speeds of up to 5 kilometers per hour, while consuming 3 times less energy than similar devices. And what about jellyfish?
Robotic jellyfish developed at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology can move using a unique pulse system, making them almost silent in water. This opens new horizons for research where sound can scare off inhabitants, such as in reefs or when observing the migration of marine animals. But that's not all. Octopuses, with their remarkable ability to blend in and maneuver, have inspired the creation of robots capable of adapting to their environment.
These devices can change their shape, allowing them to pass through narrow openings and explore hard-to-reach places where traditional submersibles cannot go. Imagine a whole school of such robots working together, collecting data on the state of the ocean and its inhabitants. The Ocean Swarm program is already testing dozens of these drones which can coordinate their actions to create 3-dimensional maps of the underwater world, something that has never been achieved before. They can collect data on water temperature, oxygen levels, and even pollution, providing scientists with the necessary information for monitoring the health of marine ecosystems. Scientists claim that such technologies can fundamentally change our approach to studying oceans and understanding their dynamics. And the most astonishing part? Studying the behavior of these robots can inspire further innovations in biomimicry, opening new horizons in the creation of technologies that we can barely imagine.
Imagine an underwater city where people live and work under water pressure, much like in science fiction.
The Proteus project, inspired by Stanisław Lem, aims to create a permanent underwater research station, reminiscent of orbital space laboratories, and this is far from fantasy. Such a project will require continuous energy supply, which is possible with solar panels on the surface and underwater wind turbines providing a stable energy source. But that's not all. For long-term human habitation underwater, life support systems are needed that can recycle carbon dioxide and provide oxygen.
In such conditions, technologies similar to regenerative systems used on the International Space Station could be employed.
Experts suggest that underwater stations could support up to 30 people for up to 2 years without the need to return to the surface. And what's astonishing? These stations could become ideal laboratories for studying deep-sea ecosystems, which remain largely unexplored.
Research shows that in the deepest parts of the ocean, there are organisms that could help develop new medical drugs and sustainable technologies.
For instance, jellyfish and some fish species have tissue regeneration capabilities, opening doors for biomedicine research. Unlike short-term expeditions that might last only a few weeks, permanent stations would allow scientists to conduct long-term observations of ecosystems, studying seasonal changes and responses to climate change.
But that's not all. Permanent underwater research stations could become educational centers where students and researchers can learn on the job, immersing themselves in the surrounding environment and studying it from the inside.
Imagine the flow of information they could receive, working in real time with scientists and researchers. This is like a new era of science popularization, where everyone can be part of today's discoveries.
Compare this to space exploration programs. Just imagine creating such centers that would serve both for scientific research and the development of technologies we can't even imagine.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Potential underwater bases could serve as starting points for deeper expeditions, allowing us to explore the most unexplored corners of the ocean. Such stations would not just be temporary camps, but self-sustaining ecosystems capable of supporting human life underwater. The question is, what technologies and resources will be needed to make this a reality? The ocean depths continue to remain an unsolved mystery for humanity. The ocean is not just a smooth water surface, but a world full of contrasts and paradoxes. It is both the cradle of life and an insurmountable force.
Do you know that more than 90% of the ocean world remains unexplored? This fact makes us ponder about the wonders and secrets hidden in the dark abyss.
The ocean is a source of resources such as fish, oil, and minerals, but it also holds ancient histories, millions of years of evolution, and ecological mysteries waiting to be discovered. It inspires artists, poets, and scientists, remaining a timeless symbol of the unknown. Every time we look at the ocean's surface, we see not only vast horizons, but also reflections of human aspirations, fears, and dreams. The ocean teaches us humility. Its power can be both destructive and creative, reminding us that we are but a part of a much larger whole. Remember the storms that can flood cities and the calm waters that give life.